In front of test area No. C12, Su ran and his three little ones stopped. Behind them, numerous people were following, having noticed Su Ran's appearance. The crowd was even growing, as many people were currently calling their friends to come over. Waving friendly to the crowd around them, Su Ran set his gaze on Xian. "Are you ready?" "Meow, I'm ready." Xian heavily nodded, looking serious, not as if it was about to undergo a combat power test, but as if it was about to face a life-or-death crisis. 2 days had passed since Su Ran agreed with Su Qing about going to Monster Wooden City. Benefiting from the work of the Advanced Meditation Acceleration card and the Standard Acceleration card, Su Ran was close to reaching the 4th stage of contract power. Tonight would be the time for his breakthrough to the 4th stage. However, before the breakthrough, Xian had an obsession. Although it was currently the first among the leadership stage pet beasts on combat power list, it still stood second on the historical rankings. Xian turned its head, looked far back at the list. On the historical combat power list, the name illuminated above its own seemed like a mountain standing tall for many years, an insurmountable peak. Top 1, Fang Kanghai, Jade Mysterious Azure Dragon, Combat Power, 74,398. Today, what it had to do was to overcome this mountainous obstacle. Xian had this idea since the very first day, when it saw the Beast Trainer rankings. No, the same can be said for Star and Kanken too. But for them, surpassing Kanghai at the leadership stage was out of reach. They would need to wait until they reached the general stage to attempt this. "Let's go, we'll go in together to watch." After taking a deep breath, Su Ran softly said. While fulfilling Xian's long-standing obsession, this was also the first attempt for Xian to use the Divine Punishment skill. Over the past 2 days, Su Ran hadn't let Xian use the skill of Divine Punishment. After all, once launched, it had to suffer a backlash to use it again. But now was an opportunity. Although Su Ran was somewhat worried about the severe backlash of Divine Punishment, as a key skill of Xian, he must fully understand the effect of the Divine Punishment skill. They couldn't never try it. The voice of 1 human and 3 beasts soon disappeared before test area No. C12. But behind them, more and more people were gathering, and whispers began to spread among the crowd. "Why has Boss Su come here? Did he go to the wrong testing area?" Yeah, C12 test area corresponds to the combat power list of leadership stage pet beasts. His Flash Thundercat is already the current first and historical second on this list. Is one of his other beasts to be tested? It doesn't look like it. Did you see the interaction between Boss Su and the Flash Thundercat just now? Clearly, the Flash Thundercat is the one to be tested. Could it be Boss Su's goal is? Could it be? Considering certain possibilities, the onlookers all drew in a sharp breath. In the crowd, a little girl with double ponytails moved her eyes and quickly squeezed out of the crowd. After reaching a quiet corner, she took out her cell phone and made a call. "Hello, Sister Yuling. Boss Su seems to be challenging Chairman Fang's record." Inside the test area No. C12, Su Ran, Star, and Kankan gradually retreated to the safety zone on the edge, leaving the battlefield to Xian and cast encouraging glances at it. Feeling the encouragement from its companions, a purple light flashed and disappeared in Xian's unique pupils, making its momentum suddenly rise. Around it, thunderous light and invisible power began to stir. Ding! Accompanied by a reverberating electronic sound within the testing area, the transcendent beings formed by energy appeared, their aura pulsating violently in the silence. Each of these figures had the power at the leadership stage level. And now they would be the targets for Xian to test its strength. The power surging around Xian intensified, with rampant electric lights tearing everything around it to shreds, and then it suddenly moved around its body, turning it into a pure energy form. Zap! Accompanied by the sound of an electric arc piercing through the air, Xian's figure disappeared in an instant, like teleportation, and appeared in the sky. The bones around its body crackled as the terrifying power continuously erupted. Its form was also rapidly changing. The long tail lengthened and straightened with a series of cracking sounds. The fluffy fur quickly contracted, forming an extraordinarily hard hilt. Its body and claws changed continuously, forming the blade of a long knife. At the same time, an unstoppable and invincible powerful aura emerged with the changes in Xian's body, steadily increasing, making the air around it seem almost solidified. 4-star skill, Halo level, immortal body. Seeing this, Su Ran's expression became rather interesting. He had only jokingly suggested Xian transforming into a knife, yet Xian had really turned into one. In the void, the long knife intertwined with white and purple colors started to tremble slightly. In an instant, a fierce fighting spirit and killing intent soared into the sky. The moment it turned into a knife, Xian's mind became unprecedentedly clear. As the most powerful beast in the team, it was initially the knife in Su Ran's hands. And now, it would use its most powerful force to cut down all its opponents and climb over that seemingly insurmountable mountain. The electric light circling around Xian seemed to condense, suddenly becoming still. Even the momentum that had been on the rise was frozen at this moment. Crack! Accompanied by a cracking sound that didn't exist but resounded in the hearts of one man and two beasts, Xian's aura quickly changed under their watchful eyes. The wildly violent thunder force no longer existed, nor did the subdued but vast power of the fighting attribute. The two types of power that made up Xian's strength disappeared without a trace at this moment. Instead, it was replaced by a whole new power that had completely fused the two types of power together. The long knife transformed by Xian swiftly dyed with black patterns in the void. With the appearance of the patterns, a power that made both the master and the two pet beasts extremely anxious revived within Xian's body. It was not the darkness of the deep night, but it was like a trace of destructive power that had gathered everything, compellingly descending to the world at this moment. 4-star skill, full moon level divine punishment. Meow, too strong, isn't it? Upon seeing the current state of Xian, Can couldn't help but shrink its head. It had no doubt that even if it used all its skills and maximized its defense power, it would still be easily pierced under this knife. The big sister at this moment gave it an extremely dangerous feeling. Xilu, so strong. Star's eyes were shimmering, looking at the long knife ready to strike in the air. A hint of shock emerged in his eyes. As expected, the big sister will always be the big sister. Under the gaze of the master and two pets, the long knife transformed by Xian's body slashed through the void and fell rapidly. Even the space it passed by seemed unable to withstand such terrible power, uncontrollably setting off waves. Boom! Accompanied by a violent explosion, the black long knife swiftly plunged into the ground. The dark light burst from the sword in all directions, quickly sweeping all the transcendent beings in the vicinity. Crack! Under the master and the two pets' gaze, an energy protective cover that was originally nearly transparent quickly turned a dark color, resisting the remaining waves of the collision. But what was horrifying was that the energy protective cover couldn't even stop the residual wave, quickly forming cracks. The entire testing area fell into silence and darkness at the next moment. It took a long while for the waves to slowly stabilize. Looking at the fighting arena that had regained its light but had a huge pit and frightening cracks at the edge of the pit, Su Ran took a deep breath, a shocked look on his face. This one strike actually ruined the testing area. Xian, already returned to her normal form, came back to Su Ran's side. Looking at her piece of art, she stuck out her tongue and then cautiously spoke. Meow tilde, can this still measure the combat power? It should, right, Su Ran said with some uncertainty. The next moment, a series of light characters emerged in the void, confirming his guess. Combat power, 79,999. Why does this number look so strange? Upon seeing the combat power value, Su Ran raised his eyebrows. Could it be that the test has reached its limit? Xilu tilde, I think it should be. Star nodded in agreement on the side. Xian's abrupt burst of combat power was witnessed by everyone at the scene. Even the testing field was destroyed with its horrifying strike. Such a test result exceeding the testing limit seems to be taken for granted. So, Su Ran looked at Xian, a hint of excitement in his eyes. The actual combat power might even be higher. Meow tilde, of course. Xian proudly held her head up high. Xian, I'm the strongest pet beast of the leadership stage. Let's go, we should return. Su Ran stroked Xian's head. After we return, we'll stay guard while you go through the backlash. Upon being reminded of the backlash, Xian's expression immediately wilted. Damn it. Yuling's sister, you're here. The twin-tailed girl waved towards Fang Yuling, who was rushing over, and quickly walked up with an arm around her. Boss Su is about to challenge Chairman Fang's first place on the historical rankings. I saw it. Looking at the crowd in front of the C-12 test area from a distance, Fang Yuling's face showed a complex expression. This guy. After surpassing her, He's now setting his sights on the target that she wants to surpass. Thinking of this, Fang Yuling couldn't help but cast her gaze upon the historical rankings of leadership stage pet beasts. Under her father's far-leading ranking, the name Su Ran looked quite eye-catching. Second place, Starfare Foster, Flash Thundercat, Combat Power, 69,128. Almost breaking the combat power of 70,000 Huh. Seeing this record, Fang Yuling's heart twitched a bit. Su Ran's Flash Thundercat is still over 5,000 combat points away from her father's Jade Mysterious Azure Dragon. This gap is not something that can be. Ding! An electronic sound spread throughout the beast trainer ranking at this moment. Watching the beam of light that had risen to the sky from the historical combat power list, Fang Yuling stood frozen with her pupils sharply constricting. How could it be? Chapter 406, 250, Divine Punishment and Rebound Breakthrough. First place, Starfare Foster Care Shop, Flash Thundercat, Combat Power, 79,999. Upon seeing this brand new line, replacing the figure once they perceived as unbeatable in their minds, the surrounding area fell silent in an instant. This silence was not just because Su Ran had surpassed expectations, but also because this surpassing left their well-respected Chairman Fang trailing far behind. Like the calm before a storm, a moment of silence was followed by tumultuous cries of surprise. Even the casual onlookers who were dragged here by their friends were visibly moved. Chairman Fang has actually been surpassed. Mind your words, it is only Chairman Fang's strongest leadership stage pet beast that has been surpassed. Even so, that is still a remarkable feat. After all, Chairman Fang is the most talented man in Xian City. Did you guys notice that Boss Su's score is very even? Indeed, a normal test wouldn't yield such tidy figures, right? What's the meaning of this? Indifferent to the discussions around her, Fang Yuling blankly stared at the figure behind Su Ran's name, recalling the words her father had once said echoing in her mind. The beast trainer ranking has a limit. Each different chart has its own limit. After reaching the limit standard, any exceeding value would not continue to increase but stay stagnant. The dialogue she had with her father back then is still clear in her mind now. Dad, if there are several people reach the rank limit standard at the same time, how would they be ranked? Silly child, since the beast trainer rankings were established, there has never been a case where the rank limit has been reached, let alone several people breaking the limit at the same time. What if someone does reach the limit? If someone does, then that person must be an unbelievably talented genius. Hiding their score is not just for protecting their secret, but also to prevent other beast trainers from being overly demoralized. So, there really are people who can surpass the limit. Murmuring to herself, a touch of melancholy appeared on Fang Yuling's face. Ding ding ding. As Su Ran's historical ranking was firmly established, 9 consecutive urgent bell sounds rang through the beast trainer ranking area. The beam of light shooting sky-high from the leadership stage pet beast combat power list did not grow dim when the ranking changed. Instead, it became increasingly bright amid the 9 bell chimes. This unprecedented anomaly caught the attention of all and stirred up countless discussions. Sister Yuling, what's going on? The pigtails girl who had called for Fang Yuling had a puzzled look on her face and tugged at Fang Yuling's sleeve. Fang Yuling stayed silent. She understood that this was a special display caused by the limit of the rankings being touched. Following this, the eye-catching beam of light will continue to shine for one day. After taking a deep look at Su Ran and the 3 little ones who just walked out of C-12 testing area, Fang Yuling, holding the hand of the pigtails girl, decided to leave. Let's go, there's no need to watch anymore. Heavy tilde. With a neigh from Star, the person and the 3 pets who had just pierced through the combat power list in the beast trainer ranking were back in their shop. Xian looked a bit odd, showing both excitement and a hint of sadness. Although it had achieved its aim and surpassed Chairman Fang's strongest leadership stage pet beast before breaking through to the general stage. But, considering the impending divine punishment and rebound it had to face, Xian was on the verge of tears. Xian, have you decided whether to suffer the divine punishment and rebound after breaking through to the general stage or before it? Su Ran gently stroked Xian's head, offering some comfort. Meow tilde before the breakthrough. Xian responded almost immediately. The severity of the divine punishment and rebound was directly proportional to one's own cultivation. If it waited until it had broken through the general stage, the punishment it had to accept would be much more difficult than accepting it now. It only used the divine punishment of leadership stage, but had to endure the rebound of martial level, hence it was at a loss either way. Moreover, compared to accepting the divine punishment, the feeling of owing the divine punishment continuously gnawed at its heart more. That's fine too, Su-ran nodded slightly. Don't worry, we will accompany you through it. Hey, Xian will be fine. Star neighed, its eyes showing a hint of comfort. Charming, go Sister Xian. Can waved its claw at the air, its face full of confidence in Xian. Listening to the encouragement from Su-ran and her two companions, Xian appeared somewhat more optimistic. At that moment, it felt as though a power forged from bonds and friendship filled its body. A mere divine punishment and rebound, bring it on. The next moment, a heartrending scream echoed from the second-floor living area. Meow tilde tilde tilde. Dense black lightning instantly overwhelmed its body, like countless sharp blades, as if to tear its flesh apart. The sound of bones cracking could be heard, and similarly strange black patterns were moving around Xian's body, seemingly trying to destroy it from the inside. With a dreadful rebound all around its body that it couldn't control, Xian's body kept twitching. Finally, it lay on the ground limp as the rebound faded away. The whole process didn't last long, roughly 1 minute. However, from Xian's glazed eyes, it was evident that the pain was unbearable. Hang in there, Xian. Chapter 407, 250, Divine Punishment and Rebound Breakthrough. With a neigh, Star and Xian were invisibly linked by chains. The power gushed towards Xian's body relentlessly, aiding its quick recovery. Meow, this pain. It's much stronger than exactly forcefully breaking through non-innate skills. After a while, Xian's heterochromatic eyes sparkled again. It struggled for a bit, and with Su-ran's help, it got up again, feeling the lingering fear. Before this, the worst pain Xian had ever experienced was the rebound from forcefully trying to elevate a non-innate skill to 3 stars before it evolved. But compared to just now, that pain was just trivial. At the most intense moment of the divine punishment and rebound, Xian felt like every inch of its body was torn apart, nearly dying. That feeling, Xian made a pitiful face. It swore it would never use this skill lightly again. It's good that you pulled through. Su-ran gently stroked Xian's forehead to soothe it, and then whispered, so we have a rough idea how intense the rebound from the divine punishment is. We can't use it lightly in the future. Star and Can nodded in agreement. Even as bystanders, they could feel Xian's pain. If it's not necessary, let the two of them take the actions instead. Rest for a while longer. When your condition is at its best, we will make the breakthrough. Su-ran arranged a meditative posture on the bed and looked at Xian. The mention of a breakthrough brought anticipation to Star and Can's faces. Even Xian, who had just been subjected to divine punishment and rebound, and had yet to fully recover, became a little more animated. About half an hour later, Xian completely escaped the negative effects of divine punishment and rebound. As it returned to peak form, it also regained its spirit. Meow, let's start. Filled with zeal again, Xian made an expectant sound. Xilu, general stage, here I come. Charming, Can Emperor will break through to the general stage today. Watching the 3 little ones excited, Su-ran smiled slightly and slowly closed his eyes. Not long after he came to this world, when he first encountered danger, Gu Wu, who happened to be passing by, effortlessly solved the problem for him and dispersed the beast tide with a wave of his hand. Since then, the general stage has become a synonym for power in his heart. Even after subsequently seeing king-level and even overlord-level beast masters, this initial impression was still indelible in his heart. After all the twists and turns, now it was time for him to break through to the general stage. Come on, 4th stage of contract power. Under the effect of the advanced meditation acceleration card, Su-ran's fluctuating emotions quickly calmed down. As he took a breath, he fell into deep meditation. Thud tilde. With a dull sound, a villa's luxurious door was slowly closed by Fang Yuling. A middle-aged man with a calm face was leaning on a sofa in the living room, reading a newspaper. Hearing the sound, he raised his head and smiled when he saw Fang Yuling. Didn't you just go out? How come you're back so soon? Fang Yuling remained silent, walking in front of the middle-aged man, looking at her father who she had always been proud of. Dad, someone has surpassed your performance on the historical rankings, and broke the upper limit of the list. Fang Kanghai's expression remained calm when he heard the first half of the sentence, but when he heard the second half, it changed dramatically. Someone broke the upper limit of the list. He quickly took out his cell phone. Which list? Leadership stage pet beast combat list. Let me see. Fang Kanghai nodded and quickly accessed the relevant information with his privileges. Though reaching the upper limit means the beast trainer ranking wouldn't display any higher value, the backend would keep a record and he could still check it. Soon, the real combat power value of Su Ran appeared before his eyes. Almost 120,000 combat power. Fang Kanghai raised his eyebrows. I seem to have some impression. This beast master is the one who surpassed you earlier and achieved first place in the 3 lists of leadership-level beast masters, right? Normally, the busy and routine tasks of Fang Kanghai wouldn't allow him to pay attention to the beast masters on the level of leadership level, even if they were ranked first on all 3 lists. However, due to his daughter, Fang Kanghai paid more attention to this levels list. Coupled with reports from his subordinates, it naturally left an impression on him. It's him, Fang Yuling nodded. Let me think. Fang Kanghai's leaning motion increased slightly. He closed his eyes and rubbed his eyebrows. His expression became a bit solemn. Though he told his daughter some details, he did not completely tell the truth. The setting of the upper limit for each list in the beast trainer ranking is taken very seriously. Theoretically, it could cover the maximum strength of the species, rank which should be at that stage. In other words, as long as it was a leadership stage king species, it would almost be impossible to exceed the upper limit of the leadership stage pet beast attack power list. Unless the opposing side used some special means, or the opposing side was no longer a leadership stage king species, but a leadership stage emperor species. Thinking of this, Fang Kanghai couldn't help but take out his cell phone again. With his authority, he pulled out the video record of Su Ran's clearance. He would like to see what exactly this beast master's situation was. Can I have a look? Fang Yuling, who figured out her father's intention, suddenly spoke up. Fang Kanghai glanced at his daughter, hesitated for a moment. Come over and have a look, but don't spread it. Okay, Fang Yuling nodded vigorously and quickly sat next to her father. As Fang Kanghai pressed the play button, the video of Xian going into action began to replay before Fang Yuling and her father. An unseen species. Seeing Xian for the first time, Fang Kanghai's face showed surprise. Thunder, fighting double attributes. I have never heard of this type of cat species before. That's the Flash Thunder cat. Su Ran gave it the fighting attribute during the evolution process, Fang Yuling said. Gained a second attribute during the evolution process. The surprise in Fang Kanghai's eyes deepened. Without continuing to inquire, father and daughter quietly continued watching. Soon they saw Xian leap into the air and transform into a long saber-shaped image. No, this skill seems wrong. Fang Kanghai pressed the pause button and frowned. The intensity of this skill has exceeded the level of a Halo level 3-star skill. Why does it look like a 4-star skill? He then took another look at Xian's combat situation. Make sure the surroundings are still covered by the king's power, not the imperial crown. It should not have reached the emperor species yet. Su Ran must have some special method. Fang Yuling was silent for a moment, suddenly recalling Su Ran's previous visit to the Transcendent Evolution Department and his vague mention of the method of Flash Thunder Cat's evolution. When it was a leadership species, Su Ran had already upgraded all the talent skills of the Flash Thunder Cat before its evolution to 3 stars. This sounded incredibly unbelievable. Since Su Ran could achieve this, then perhaps he could also upgrade the talent skills of the Flash Thunder Cat to 4 stars. At this moment, a strong curiosity surged in Fang Yuling's heart. She really wanted to know how exactly Su Ran achieved this. You don't seem to be surprised. Fang Kanghai couldn't help but glance at Fang Yuling, put down this investigation for the time being, and clicked to continue playing. This skill was indeed very powerful, and it might allow the pet beast to exceed the limit, but an attack power as high as 120,000 had far exceeded the limit. It seemed impossible to achieve just with a 4-star skill. The next moment, Fang Kanghai's expression changed. The process of executing the divine punishment skill appeared before his eyes. Fang Kanghai's expression became unprecedentedly solemn, attribute jumping. What? Fang Yuling, who was also surprised by the powerful strength revealed by Xian at this moment, heard her father mention a new term and couldn't help but turn her head to look at him. Nothing. Fang Kanghai shook his head. I understand how this combat power of 120,000 came about. Chapter 408-251, General Stage Departure. Dad, you're going to leave me hanging again. Seeing Fang Kanghai's astonished expression, Fang Yuling couldn't help but roll her eyes. Only in front of her father would she show such a demeanor. I'm not keeping you in suspense, it's just that some things are not suitable for you to know too early. Fang Kanghai shook his head gently, and seeing the dangerous look in Fang Yuling's eyes, he coughed lightly. All right, I'll tell you. Do you know about the 10 attributes of pet beasts? Hearing Fang Kanghai asking this question, which is common knowledge that almost everyone in this world knows, Fang Yuling couldn't help rolling her eyes again. Of course I know, so is it relevant to attribute hopping? Of course. Fang Kanghai paused for a moment, showing no intention of giving a direct answer. He then continued to lead. You have also seen the video record of the successful evolution into the Holy Spirit race preserved by the Transcendent Evolution Department. What do you think the attribute of the pet beast that evolved into the Holy Spirit race was after the evolution? Upon hearing this question, Fang Yuling was slightly stunned. She had never thought about this question. She knew the original attribute of the Emperor species pet beast in the record, which was a light attribute pet. But, after Fang Kanghai's hint, she suddenly realized that the Holy Spirit that had completed the evolution didn't possess any traits of a light attribute pet, as if it was no longer a light attribute species. Before this, she would not have this kind of association. After all, the Holy Spirit race is mysterious, and all inexplicable things she would subconsciously believe to be the unique characteristics of the Holy Spirit race. But at this moment, when her father mentioned the so-called attribute hop, could it be? When evolving into the Holy Spirit race, does the attribute also change? Sort of. Fang Kanghai gave an ambiguous answer. The attack of 120,000 just now from that pet beast doesn't mean it has really reached such a level. According to my estimation, its real combat power should be around 90,000. The extra came from the anomalous result of the attribute power. It should be a skill that has a similar effect as attribute hopping, causing the power of the attribute to fundamentally change for a short time, affecting the test results. Fang Kanghai paused. You just said his name is Su Ran, right? You seem to be familiar with him. Could you tell me about him? Fang Kanghai was very interested in his daughter's story. There aren't many leadership-level beast masters that can interest him. But the things Su Ran showed just now are enough for him to pay attention to. You haven't finished talking. Fang Yuling stared at Fang Kanghai. When evolving into the Holy Spirit race, how does the attribute change? You this girl. Fang Kanghai shook his head helplessly. Some things knowing too early will only lead you astray. So be it, I will give you another hint. Aren't you proud of being smart and having a talent for evolution research? Go do your own research. Transcendent beings have 9 growth stages, and each growth stage should correspond to a skill proficiency level. But why are there only 7 skill proficiency levels? What happens after reaching the 7th stage? This, Fang Yuling's pupils shrank slightly. What happens when a skill reaches the 7th proficiency stage? She is not really sure about this. Because even her father's 3 pets, which are in the 7th growth stage, the Emperor stage, their skill proficiency level is only in the full stage of the 6th stage, the Violent Sun level. Her father has another 4 pet beasts, which are still stuck at the Overlord stage. It's not because they can't break through, but according to her father's words, they still have a slight possibility of evolving into the Holy Spirit. And without exception, all these 4 pet beasts have at least one skill that has touched the threshold of the 7th proficiency level, the Micro-Light. Wait. Why is the 7th growth stage called the Micro-Light stage? At this moment, Fang Yuling's mind was somewhat confused. All right, stop thinking about it. Fang Kanghai patted Fang Yuling's shoulder. I have already told you, now quickly tell me, what is the situation with this beast master? Humph, you can find out by yourself. Fang Yuling was still unhappy about her father's obscure words. She stared at him. I won't tell you. You this girl. Watching Fang Yuling closing her room door, Fang Kanghai shook his head helplessly. All right, I'll ask by myself. He made a call with a quick swipe on his cell phone, which was quickly connected. Little Lee, help me look up a beast master named Su Ran, the one who is number 1 in the 3 rankings of leadership level beast master. After giving his instructions and hearing the affirmative response, Fang Kanghai glanced at his daughter. I'll know about it in a while. Fang Yuling ignored him. Her mind was still reverberating with many thoughts. as if she vaguely grasped something, but it wasn't clear. After a moment's wait, Fang Kanghai's cell phone rang. The association staff who had just conducted the inquiry began to report on Su Ran's situation. He runs a foster shop. Is this what geniuses like to do now? Fang Kanghai laughed, but his expression faltered when he heard the subsequent report from the association staff. You said. His name disappeared from the current ranking. What? Fang Yuling, who was in a muddle-headed state, immediately came to her senses and abruptly raised her head to look at Fang Kanghai. Su Ran's name disappeared from the current ranking. As for the rules of the Beast Trainer ranking, Fang Yuling was all too familiar. A Beast Master's name disappearing from the current ranking could only signify one eventuality. That is, the Beast Master either died, disappeared for a long time, or made a breakthrough. Having just seen Su Ran and his pets rushing to the top of the rankings not long ago, it wasn't possible for him to disappear for a long time, and death was equally unreasonable. After all, in either of these cases, the Beast Master Association would need to verify and confirm before they would remove the name. So there was only one possibility that could be applicable. Fang Yuling's heart shook slightly. The Beast Master badges issued by the association have the effect of recording the level of strength. The only time when the Beast Master ranking would perceive and result in a change in the ranking is during a breakthrough. Su Ran has broken through the 4th stage of contract power. That fast? He's already in the general stage. Placing his cell phone down, Fang Kanghai, who had the same thought, stroked his chin, a hint of surprise crossing his face. That's interesting. Give him 2 more months, and he should be able to give me quite a surprise. Linger, Fang Kanghai stroked Fang Yuling's head. Shall we visit this Beast Master's foster shop tomorrow? Futilda. Su Ran slowly opened his eyes. A ray of light blue light instantly illuminates the entire room before quickly fading away. In the heart of his eyebrows, where the power of the contract is stored, the original 3 contract powers shaped like deep yellow spirals have now split into 4, and their color has also changed from deep yellow to light blue. The power of the contract 4th stage. With the breakthrough comes the greater feedback of power from pet beasts and the brand new contract ability. This is a huge breakthrough, allowing pet beasts and beast masters to cooperate harmoniously during battles. At the same time, beast masters can sense the specific situations of their pet beasts even if they are far apart. Feeling his newly acquired power, Su Ran nodded in satisfaction, then turned his attention to the 3 little ones in front of him. Under the effect of the size reduction skill, their bodies have not changed much with the breakthrough, and their appearances have not changed much. However, much greater power than the previous perfect leadership stage has already burst from the 3 pet beasts. Contract Pet Beast, Xian. Race name, Flash Thundercat. Attribute, Thunder Attribute, Fighting Attribute. Growth Stage, General Stage, 139, 0W/150W+. Race Level, King Species. Skills omitted. Contract Pet Beast, Star. Race name, Star God Horse. Attribute, Dark Attribute. Growth Stage, General Stage, 131W/150W+. Race Level, King Species. Skills omitted. Contract Pet Beast, Kankan. Race name, Panlong Turtle. Attribute, Earth Attribute. Growth Stage, General Stage, 134W/150W+. Race Level, King Species. Skills omitted. Looking over the pet beast panel of the 3 little ones before him, Su Ran nodded slightly. The General Stage, as expected, is a level where the pet beast's power dramatically changes. The upper limit of the 3 little ones' power has directly changed from the previous 300,000 to 1,500,000. If they take all-out action now, it's an entirely different level from before. Meow, I've reached the General Stage. There is a look of excitement in Xian's eyes. It clenched one of its forepaws tightly, a sudden, fierce light flashing in its eyes. At this moment, it feels it could beat 100 of its former self. However, thinking of the divine punishment and rebound it had just experienced, Xian quickly shrunk its head, its previously invincible aura fading a bit. The price of being invincible, it's too high. Xilu Tilda, I've also reached the General Stage. Star neighed, a look of invigoration in its eyes. It could feel that with the improvement in strength, all its faculties, including speed, had greatly increased. Even after all this time, Star still couldn't completely give up its pursuit of speed. Now it could run even faster. Sure, Tilda, so how big am I really now? Unlike the other two little ones, Can-Can, amidst its excitement, couldn't help but scratch its head with its paw. According to the previous pattern, its body size should continue to increase after the breakthrough to the general stage. But because it has always been controlling its body size with Jizumitsu, it doesn't know how big it actually is now. Looking around the room, Can-Can sighed helplessly. There probably isn't a place right now where it can restore its normal body size. Chapter 409, 252 Run at top speed. This spot should do. In the Earth Attribute training area, 1 human and 3 pets stood on a flat valley. Su-Ran smilingly spoke, looking at Can-Can behind him, who was eager to give it a go. Eventually, Can-Can couldn't resist its intense curiosity. It pulled Su-Ran and the other 2 little ones down from the room on the 2nd floor, wanting to see how big its body had become after breaking through to the martial level. In order not to disturb the residents in the foster area with the possible commotion made by Can-Can, Su-Ran specifically chose to come to the deserted training area at midnight. It just so happened that the moment the clock struck midnight, the training time of the 3 little ones had refreshed. After Can-Can finished its test, they could also test their power after breaking through. "Charming, watch me!" Can-Can excitedly yelled out and moved its 4 robust claws, rushing forward rapidly. With every step it took, its body size increased slightly. Its somewhat short tail end always stayed next to Su-Ran and the other 3 pets. Only after running about 300 meters, Can-Can's figure stopped changing, turning into a giant beast that was as gigantic as a small hill. After breaking through to the martial level, Can-Can's body shape became more exaggerated. Excitedly looking around, the unique feeling brought by its enormous size made Can-Can somewhat excited. Very quickly, Can-Can eyed a small hill nearby. Its sturdy limbs stepped forward, and it then crashed into the hill, which was similar in size to it. Boom! With a thunderous boom that echoed throughout the entire training area, the earth began to shake violently, and under the stunned gaze of Su-Ran, Xian, and Star, the small hill was smashed by Can-Can in an instant, causing countless stones to fly around. Meow, this powerful. Xian blinked its eyes, somewhat stunned. It had always thought that smaller body size was better, and that a large size like Can-Can's would seem clumsy and slow. But at this moment, its thoughts began to falter slightly. It seems it looks pretty cool. Can't believe this is just the martial level. Su-Ran couldn't help but gasp. Each time Can-Can reached a new growth stage, its size would increase about 3 times compared to before. If this rate continues, Can-Can's true size in the future could possibly be equivalent to that of a city. Moreover, Can-Can has Jizumitsu, a skill that can further multiply its size several times when it bursts out with full power. Thinking about this, Su-Ran looked at Can-Can with a strange look in his eye. No wonder it came from an egg that he had chosen, such extraordinary potential. It seemed obvious that Can-Can, who usually stayed in a small size, was feeling quite unrestrained now. After smashing that small hill, it wasn't done yet. It started to dig up the ground with its claws, piling up the dirt to form another small hill, and then smashed it again. Seeing Can-Can having such a good time, Su-Ran broke a massive stone flying towards him with a poker face, then turned to Xian and Star and said, "You two also try testing your power after breaking through here." Meow tilde, no problem. Xian glanced around and nodded slightly. Although this was an Earth Attribute environment, which suppressed Thunder Attribute, it was just right to test its own power. Zap! With a sound of electric arc piercing the air, Xian's strange eyes were suddenly filled with purple electricity. It abruptly raised its head, targeting a fragment of rock flying towards it due to Can-Can smashing the rocks, and in an instant, it was standing on top of it. Stepping on the scattered fragments in the air, Xian displayed an ease and composure as if it were on flat ground. In a few moments, it was already high in the sky. Looking at Star and Su-Ran, who were almost only 2 little dots down below, Xian's gaze was electrifying. In an instant, it transformed its form, just like what it had shown in the C-12 test area before, into a long knife harboring a terrifying aura. The long knife slightly adjusted its direction in midair, then pointed at another hillside, stabbing fiercely through it, dragging a faint trace of purple and white light in midair. A moment of silence followed, and countless electric arc light sparks branched off from every corner of the mountain peak. Accompanying a loud rumbling noise, The entire mountain peak crumbled under this terrible strike and turned into a pile of stones sparking with electricity. Charming, that's strong. Taken aback by the enormous commotion, Can stopped what it was doing, turned its head to look in Zion's direction. Seeing the scene after Zion's strike, it involuntarily shrunk its head. That's scary, very scary, Tilda. Quickly shrinking to a pocket size of about 1 meter, Can retreated back to Su Ran's side, its expression suddenly turning modest. Touching Can's head, Su Ran looked up at the rainbow light flying at him. Soon, the long knife transformed by Zion was hovering in front of him. It didn't return to its original form, making its intention clear. I was indeed just joking. Su Ran shook his head helplessly, but couldn't help but reach out and grip the hilt of the knife, formed by Zion's tail end. He also wanted to know what kind of attack could be launched when the long knife turned into by the martial level Zion matches, with the knife intent that he had grasped. Xilu Tilda, how about counting me in too? Looking at Su Ran holding the long knife, Star's eyes showed a trace of eagerness. While Zion and Can were testing their newborn power, it didn't take action because it didn't have any attacking skills. If it wanted to try its power, it could only do it by assisting its teammates. Chapter 410, 252 Run, at top speed. This moment was indeed the best opportunity. All right, Su Ran nodded without refusing Star's invitation, quickly climbed onto its broad back, tightened his grip on the long knife transformed from Zion, and a look of high spirits appeared on his face. Go. Xylulu Tilda. Star let out a roar, and beams of starlight emerged from the void behind it, turning into a bridge that linked it and Su Ran. The power of the two was instantly connected together, and then progressively augmented under the additional enhancement from faded star pulling. 2 million, 4 million, 6 million. A terrifying momentum surged around Su Ran and Star, and an even more overwhelming power surged towards the long knife formed by Zion at this moment. Not only the power belonging to Su Ran and Star, but it also contained a hint of knife intent that Su Ran mastered. Buzz Tilda. The long knife transformed from Zion was trembling violently at this moment. Under normal circumstances, it definitely could not bear the influx of several times its own power, much less bear that hint of knife intent. However, after being transformed into a long knife with the immortal body, Zion has also been greatly reinforced in this aspect, so it can withstand such an overwhelming power and is still safe and sound, even looking somewhat excited. Even its own thunder attribute power was also surging at this moment, as if it was trying to respond to Su Ran's power. Watching this scene, Can seemed to be lost in deep thought. Something seems wrong. What about me? At this moment, it suddenly got the feeling of being left behind by the team. Why does everyone else get to fuse but not it? No, it wanted to fuse with Su Ran too. A thoughtful expression appeared in Can's eyes. Star could fuse with Su Ran because it had a unique auxiliary skill, faded star pulling, which it couldn't learn. However, it could definitely try Zion's method. Isn't it just adding a special skill to change itself during the skill fusion? It could do it. Can's gaze traveled over Su Ran's body, and then landed on Su Ran's bare torso. Armor set it up. With a quick turn of thought, Can's gaze became firm. It would incorporate this skill in the skill fusion next time. Still oblivious to Can's plan to guide him towards the direction of beast armor, Su Ran, who was feeling much stronger than before, drew a deep breath, focusing his gaze on the highest peak within the Earth attribute training area. It was a towering peak that reached straight into the clouds, like a pillar supporting the entire sky, an impressive sight at first glance. Use it to test how powerful he was now. With a low shout, Su Ran gripped the handle of the long knife even tighter, and then violently swung it towards the distant mountain peak. A black ink-like blade light in a blink of an eye swung out from the blade. The quiet edge was as silent as the deep night, cutting through the void in an instant without making a sound at all. However, anyone who paid close attention would feel an extremely terrifying and sharp power concealed within it. At the forefront of the blade, a line of purple light stood out prominently. What should have been a wildly violent thunder attribute power was being subjected, at this moment, under the influence of the blade's momentum, to become tame. However, anyone could sense how terrifying the attack would be once it was allowed to explode. In just a blink of an eye, the blade light bridged a distance of thousands of meters, under the focused gaze of Su Ran and his 3 pets, slashing towards the giant peak's waist. A bundle of purple-black lightning suddenly exploded from the waist of the giant peak, followed immediately by a large cloud of dust that completely covered the blade's cut. After a few noticeable tremors, the giant peak began to slowly tilt. The horrifying crack at the waist spread under the force of gravity, eventually encircling the entire waist of the mountain, dividing the peak in two. The front part of the giant peak, under the dumbstruck gaze of Suran and his three pets, crashed to the ground with a loud bang. Boom! A wave of an intense blast suddenly echoed through the entire Earth Attribute training field. The entire place trembled violently at this moment, as if it were about to collapse. Even when the king species trained here before, there has never been such a huge fluctuation. Su Ran's combined effort with Star and Xian has reached the upper limit of the training space that can only accommodate king stage pet beast training. The next moment, as if the world was spinning, Su Ran and the three pets were forcibly teleported back to the elevator for the first floor foster area leading to the training area. Looking at the now dim Earth attribute button, Su Ran couldn't help scratching his head. It seems like we broke the Earth attribute training area. The three little ones glanced at each other, overcome with excitement, but also feeling a bit helpless. Sure, can it be repaired? A look of worry appeared on Kankan's face. If the Earth attribute was destroyed, how would it train in the future? Su Ran pressed the dim Earth attribute symbol with his hand, and the worry on his face quickly disappeared. Because the moment he pressed it, a countdown appeared before his eyes. 23:59:52. It seems that the training area needs to be restored for a day after it collapses. It's fine, it can be used after a day. Su Ran patted Kankan's head. Besides, we're going to Monster Wooden City today. It won't delay your training. Sure, Tilda, that would be great. Kankan quickly sighed in relief. With this little interruption, Su Ran and the three pets gave up the idea of continuing to test their power. Knowing that everyone's combined power was not weaker than that of the king stage, it was already enough. Without disturbing the residents in the foster area, Su Ran and the three pets returned to their second-floor room. As dawn broke and the time agreed with Su Qing arrived, they brought the luggage they had prepared earlier and set off together. After waiting for a while at the agreed place, Su Ran saw a middle-aged man dressed in a strong outfit with an impressive aura. The man came straight towards him after seeing him. This made Su Ran quickly realize the man's identity. Are you Senior Sun Tianqiao? It's me. Sun Tianqiao nodded slightly as he looked at Su Ran, but then he abruptly noticed the aura of the three little ones standing behind Su Ran, making his eyes wider. Wait a minute. Aren't you a leadership level? I had good luck last night and my contract power broke through to the fourth stage. Su Ran replied with a shy smile. Sun Tianqiao. Even if one had talent and wasn't stopped by that threshold, it would take a lot of time and effort to improve the contract power to the fourth stage through meditation. And those who can strive to break through are considered lucky, as over half the people are blocked by that threshold. This is definitely not something that can be accomplished simply with good luck. He deeply looked at Su Ran and suddenly thought of something interesting. Unlike Su Qing, Sun Tianqiao came to Xian City this time just to wait for the results of the discussion of the senior management of the Xian City Beast Master Association. He hadn't visited Xian City before. But that didn't stop him from hearing about how the young man in front of him surpassed Chairman Fang on the historical rankings last night. Without a doubt, a beast master like this, setting aside his identity as the boss of the foster shop, would inevitably be among the top in any strength level. In 2 months, there will be a competition between general stage beast masters across every second-level town, and Boss Su, who has just broken through to the general stage, seems to have qualified. So, does Chairman Fang know that such a beast master has been taken away by their monster wooden city? Thinking about this, Sun Tianqiao's tone became a bit urgent. Have you packed all your belongings? All packed, Su Ran nodded. The hexagram star array behind Sun Tianqiao suddenly bloomed, and a giant eagle with a wingspan of over 20 meters flew out from the wind, hovering in the air, looking downwards. Accompanied by a sharp cry, the wind that rose instantly blew up Sun Tianqiao and the three pets, dropping them onto the thick back of the giant eagle. Let's set off now, Sun Tianqiao said to Su Ran calmly, while shouting frantically at his pet beast through contractual sensing. Run fast at the fastest speed. Chapter 411, 253, City of the Demon Wood. Dad, why did you bring me so early? in front of the Starfair foster care shop. While looking at the yet-to-open shop, Fang Yuling's voice was tinged with a bit of helplessness. I told you yesterday, this shop can't accept pet beasts of Overlord and Emperor stages. I know, Fang Kenghai nodded calmly, but I happened to get up early today, so I thought we could come and take a look. On the way, Fang Yuling's eyes filled with a peculiar color. Their house, the Beast Master Association, and the Starfair foster shop pretty much formed an equilateral triangle within Xian City. Where did the on the way come from? In her view, the on the way was fake. It was more plausible that her father was interested in Boss Su. Dad, is it because he displayed a power similar to attribute transition yesterday that you value him so much? Fang Yuling couldn't help but ask. Yes, but that's not the whole reason. Fang Kenghai nodded slightly, not denying this. In fact, the more important reason is his breakthrough to the general stage. Originally, I thought he was around your age and wouldn't be able to reach the general stage in a short time. Fang Yuling's face fell. How did it seem? That her father was saying she was slow in cultivation. Damn it, she's obviously using the Heavenly Spirit Stone, which accelerates meditation until she cannot bear the headaches. Isn't that good enough? It's Suran who is the weirdo. She doesn't know how he managed to do it, reaching the 4th stage of contract power at merely 20 years old. Thinking of this, Fang Yuling felt a sense of powerlessness in her heart. She, who has always considered herself a genius, didn't expect to be completely suppressed by another person one day. In terms of power, he had already crushed her, becoming the top of the 3 rankings. Although he had temporarily left the rankings, his historical rankings were still something she couldn't surpass in a short time. In talents, he is a few years younger than her, but he has already broken through to the 4th stage of contract power, leaving her far behind. Even in the studies of evolution, he seemed to be ahead of her. That day when Su Ran visited the Transcend Evolution Department and dropped the concept of evolution ritual, Liu Yu had already started his retreat to study it desperately. According to him, he won't step out of the Transcend Evolution Department building until he figures out what it's all about. Putting aside these messy thoughts, Fang Yuling turned to Fang Kenghai. Is there something special about the general stage? There wasn't before, but there is now. Fang Kenghai spoke slowly. Originally, you would have found out in a few days' time, but knowing it now is no harm. During the previous multi-city exchange, although the power of Xian City was demonstrated to the level 3 towns, it wasn't convincing to the other level 2 towns. They proposed to hold a competition between beast masters of the general stage, and the result of the competition would decide whether to ally and who will have the power of discourse within the alliance. The competition is in 2 months, and each level 2 town will send out 5 people. Fang Kenghai's voice paused a little. So in a few days, the association will arrange a selection for the general stage, select 5 people, and train them with all efforts over the next 2 months. I understand. Fang Yuling nodded in realization. No wonder her father values Su Ran so much. After all, Su Ran showed such great power at the leadership stage, and now he has broken through to the general stage. With a bit of training, he is bound to achieve good results in the competition in 2 months. Fang Yuling also knew a little about the city alliance her father strongly promoted. Although she didn't know the specific reasons, she could feel her father's seriousness. In this case, it's only natural to come to the Starfair foster shop early. As she thought about this, a smile flashed in Fang Yuling's eyes. Speaking of which, the previous multi-city exchange ended rather abruptly because of the appearance of Boss Su. But if Boss Su represents Xian City in this competition and promotes the alliance among the cities, things will get interesting. While the father and daughter were talking, the closed door of the Starfair foster shop slowly opened. A man wearing a straw hat, wearing a large gown, a fishing rod on his shoulder, and a fish basket in his other hand stood at the entrance. Welcome, Tilda, he shouted at the Fang family duo standing outside the door, shaking the fish basket in his hand at the same time. You two came at the right time, just caught an elite purple pattern carp, one given free per order in the shop. What is that? Fang Kenghai became slightly surprised and turned to Fang Yuling with questioning eyes. He only knew that Su Ran was the owner of the Starfair foster care shop and wasn't too interested in the specifics of the shop. He initially thought that seeing Su Ran would be easy once the shop started operating, but he didn't expect to be greeted by another person. And Fang Kenghai looked at the fish basket the other party was holding. Purple pattern carp is a weak and nutritious super fish with great taste. Fang Kanghai has seen it in other places, but it's not available within the range of Xi'an City. This guy claims to have just caught it. He is one of the shop's employees. Although Fang Yuling hadn't been to the shop for a few days, she knew a little about the situation of the Starfare foster care shop. Su Ran hasn't handled the shopfront himself for a while now and has hired 3 employees to do it. I see, Fang Kanghai nodded his understanding. It was perfectly normal for a gifted beast master not to operate the storefront personally. But the clerk that little boss Su had hired seemed to be quite special. Muttering to himself, Fang Kanghai turned to the fisherman in front of him. I'm looking for Su Ran, is he around? Oh, you're looking for the boss. Regarding this, the fisherman smiled, about to speak, when a delicate yet anxious voice interrupted. This is bad, really bad. Was it another clerk? Fang Kanghai followed the voice, his expression turning to astonishment. Before his eyes was a particularly rugged and burly man, his belly jiggling as he ran, appearing somewhat comical. The one who just spoke was this guy. Fang Kanghai vigorously shook his head, unable to match the voice he just heard with the figure in front of him. Maybe he was hearing things due to his recent sleep deprivation. Yes, that must be it. Just as Fang Kanghai arrived at this conclusion, Murong grabbed the fisherman's hand and spoke again. Manager, the Earth Attribute Training Area has collapsed. I know. The fisherman nodded calmly. Boss Su said before he left Xi'an City that there won't be any accompanying training services for Earth Attribute pet beasts today, or you could let them train in the other training areas. I believe in your abilities. You should be able to formulate a targeted special training plan, right? The fisherman freed his hand from Murong's grip, then patted him on the shoulder. You wouldn't want to disappoint Boss Su, right? Leave it to me. Murong patted his chest, producing a dull thud. Only then did he notice the father-daughter pair from the Fang family. We have guests. I'll be going then. Having said that, he turned around and left, leaving behind a stunned Fang Kanghai and a perplexed Fang Yuling. Even though Fang Yuling had heard about the unique styles of these 3 new clerks through her girlfriends, witnessing it firsthand was indeed quite an experience. This is one of little Boss Su's clerks. Fang Kanghai shook his head vigorously, attempting to erase the scene he just witnessed from his mind. Then he picked up a keyword from the clerk's conversation. Boss Su left Xi'an City. Fang Kanghai frowned slightly. Where did he go? To the outskirts. Outside the Xi'an City was the perilous 47th Beast Zone. Although Xi'an City was confident enough to stand against it, even having its city gates wide open, it was generally advised not to venture outside the city unless one was at the general stage as a beast master. Even beast masters at the general stage would barely be able to fend for themselves outside the city. An ambush from a small group of transcendent beings or pet beasts could easily lead to their doom. So Boss Su just reached the general stage and left Xi'an City. This was quite impulsive. I'm sorry, sir. The fishing man flapped the brim of his straw hat and smiled slightly. The boss's whereabouts are confidential. After all, it took me great effort to get promoted to the manager position. I wouldn't want to anger the boss and demote myself back to clerk. Instead, the fisherman dangled the fish basket in his hand. Wouldn't you like a freshly hooked purple pattern carp? It makes a lovely soup. A dark green streak of light, resembling an arrow released from its bow, cut across the void, dashing directly towards a certain direction. It slowed down only when a giant towering tree could be seen in the distance, eventually halting midair. We're here. Sun Tiancha glanced at Su Ran and smirked, pointing down at a massive city below. That's Monster Wooden City. Su Ran nodded earnestly, anticipation gleaming in his eyes. The speed of a king stage pet beast was far beyond that of a general stage, and the distance between Monster Wooden City and Xi'an City wasn't as far as Kingju City, hence, they'd arrived within just an hour or 2. Following Sun Tianchao's guidance, Su Ran spotted the huge city beneath them. As a second-level town, Monster Wooden City was fundamentally different from Xi'an City in terms of environment. Or rather, it was fundamentally different from any other human cities Su Ran had known. Here, there was no solid metal wall, hundreds or even thousands of meters high. Instead, there was a low wall barely more than 10 meters high with negligible defensive capability, serving as the boundary marker for the human city. Inside and outside the wall, wild super creatures and human beast masters were entering and exiting the city, not fighting each other in bloody battles as Su Ran had imagined, but rather interacting peacefully. The green-black giant eagle descended slowly. After Sun Tianqiao jumped off its back, he grinned at the surprised Su Ran behind him. Are you finding Monster Wooden City different from any other human cities you've seen before? If you stay here for a while, you'll see even more interesting things. Anyway, welcome to Monster Wooden City. Chapter 412, 254, Monster Wooden Marketplace. Boss Su, this is the store that the association has prepared for you. Under the guidance of a staff member of the Demon Wood City Beast Trainer Association, Su Ran and the three little ones appeared in front of a large building within the Demon Wood City. It's quite big. Su Ran looked up at the building in front of him, which covered an area as large as a basketball court and was about a dozen stories high. He nodded in satisfaction. Which floor is my store on? Which floor? Hearing Su Ran's question, the staff member was slightly stunned before comprehending, and then he laughed. Boss Su misunderstood. The whole building is yours. Su Ran. He couldn't help but look up and carefully observe the building in front of him again. Then he turned to the staff member with a smile on his face. Are you saying that this entire building is my store? Yes, the staff member nodded slightly, while feeling a little puzzled and odd. Before this, the Demon Wood City had invited many foster shops to settle in. Foster shops take up a large area and would thus not be cheap, so the Demon Wood City offered them a discount and tax reductions for several years in the future. However, to this young man, the Association of Demon Wood City offered a free store and a total tax exemption. Is his washing and protection technique so important to the association, or does he have something else that the association needs? Suppressing his thoughts, the smile on the staff member's face deepened. Boss Su, here are the documents related to the property. Please keep them safe. Okay. Taking the documents from the staff member, Su Ran was still somewhat dazed. Property is very expensive in this world. Although he didn't lack money at present, receiving such a generous gift upon arrival at the Demon Wood City gave him the feeling of owing a favor. I really appreciate the association's kindness. You're too kind, Boss Su. The staff member chatted for a while, and after completing his task he turned and left, leaving Su Ran, the three little ones, and a vacant building behind. It seems that this time we might not need to set our foster space underground. Looking at his new store, Su Ran's face showed more anticipation. The system has detected that the host owns a new store in the Demon Wood City. Shall the system carry out renovations? Yes, no. Su Ran naturally chose yes. Looking at the countdown of 6 hours in front of him and then turning his head to look at the nearly midday sky, he helplessly spread his hands. Very well, I can't open for business today. Until the countdown ended and the store was successfully renovated, it was just in time for the end of the business day. Since that's the case, let's go around the Demon Wood City. Looking at the three little ones who were also very curious about this brand new city, Su Ran happily began. After meeting with the 12, his view and understanding of wild super creatures also changed. Wild super creatures do not necessarily detest humans. They have their own emotions and communities. In that case, humans might not necessarily be incapable of peacefully coexisting with the other super creatures in the beast field, maintaining a peaceful situation. As the only known city with peaceful coexistence between humans and super creatures, the Demon Wood City is worth more of his thought and consideration. The three little ones and him were ready to set off immediately. Selling elite stage resources. Various types of resources available, welcome to shop, prices are favorable, only accepting beast master points. Roar. High-quality pet beast species, come take a look. Roar tilde. In the midst of lively peddling mixed with occasional roars of super creatures, Su Ran and the three little ones all showed interest. After asking several pedestrians along the way, they finally found the Monster Wooden Marketplace, which was said to be the busiest place in the Demon Wood City. The city coexists peacefully with wild super creatures outside, and naturally this led to communication between the two. With time, trading resources and other necessities became the norm. Translating the currency system of humans for super creatures was difficult, hence to fulfill the barter needs of both parties, the Monster Wood Marketplace was created. Here, super creatures can bring out their gathered rare resources in exchange for items needed from human society. Humans also found a peaceful way to obtain resources. Just hearing the description, Su Ran and the three little ones were already full of fascination for the Monster Wooden Marketplace. Seeing the bustling scene of the marketplace now, they couldn't help but want to join in immediately. However, before they could enter, a skinny boy who looked like he was still underage appeared in front of Su-ran and the three little ones. He sized up Su-ran and the three little ones who had hidden their aura and did not display the majesty of their general stage. A smile appeared on his face. "Mr. Beastmaster, do you need a translator?" "Need what?" Su-ran blinked confused. "Well, there are many wild super creatures coming and going here, and they have all sorts of races. Each race's language is different." The boy chuckled. "For foreigners wanting to communicate with them, it can be quite difficult." Chapter 413, 254, Monster Wooden Marketplace. "How did you know I'm not a local?" Su-ran became interested when he heard what the little boy said. "My attire doesn't seem to be different from the locals, doesn't it? I've never seen you in the Monster Wood Marketplace before." The little boy had a proud expression on his face. "My home is nearby. I've grown up in this marketplace and have impressions of all the locals. But you, sir, I've never seen you before." "Interesting," Su-ran smiled, intrigued. "So I can't understand what these transcendent beings are saying, can you?" "Of course." The little boy puffed out his chest. "My name is Li Tutu, and I am the best translator around here. There isn't a single language of transcendent beings that I don't know." "Meow, really? Can you understand what I'm saying then?" Upon hearing Li Tutu's claim, Xian couldn't help but curiously pipe up. Li Tutu scratched his head in embarrassment, glancing over at Xian. "I've never seen this species before, so I don't know what it's saying." "Interesting kid." Su-ran laughed. "I suppose you don't offer your translation services for free, do you?" "Of course not." Li Tutu coughed lightly, seemingly a little embarrassed by his inability to understand Xian's language. "Just give me 20 beast master points per day." "Deal." Su-ran nodded, agreeing to this arrangement. Whether or not Li Tutu could really understand the various languages of the transcendent beings in the marketplace was secondary. What mattered most was that Su-ran indeed needed a local guide. "Please follow me." Upon receiving Su-ran's affirmative response, Li Tutu instantly beamed, leading Su-ran and the three little ones swiftly past the gates of the marketplace while commenting, "The Monster Wood Marketplace has 2 gates. One gate is built into the city wall to facilitate the comings and goings of wild super creatures from outside the city. The other gate is within the city, which is the one we're passing through." A gate in the city wall, Su-ran found it strange. Other cities would build high walls in fear of attacks from wild super creatures from outside the city. Those with lower defenses even had their gates open only at a certain time, kept closed and heavily guarded at other times. In comparison, Monster Wooden City not only had unusually low walls that super creatures could easily scale, it even had a gate outside the city wall, specifically designed for wild super creatures to gain direct access to the marketplace. How odd. Behind him, the three little ones were huddled together, whispering among themselves. This person said he can understand what super creatures speak. Is he like 12 then?" Kanken stared curiously at Li Tutu in the front, asking softly. "Xilu Tilda, 12 communicates with other creatures using super ability skills. This human simply understands super creatures because he's been around them for a long time." Star shook her head, dismissing Kankan's speculation. "Meow Tilda, he can't even understand what I am saying." Xian shook her head, a smug look in her eyes. However, in the next moment, thinking of 12 made the three little ones feeling a bittersweet longing. "Xilu Tilda, we will bring it back soon." Star let out a low humming sound, looking at the humans and wild super creatures cohabitating peacefully in the marketplace. Hope flickered in her eyes. "Xilu, do you think Kingju City could become like this? Sir, do you have a place in mind that you would like to visit?" After passing through the gates, Li Tutu directed his gaze at Su-ran. "A place I'd like to visit." Su-ran stroked his chin, looking thoughtful. "Is there a place to eat around here? It's midday now, time for lunch." "You came to the right person, sir." Li Tutu chuckled with a mysterious smile. "The best restaurant in Monster Wood Marketplace, I know it well. Not only do they prepare delicious food for humans, but they also have food for pet beasts and wild super creatures." "Oh," Su-ran nodded satisfactorily, feeling smart for letting Li Tutu accompany them. "Take us to see." "It's this way." Li Tutu scanned the surroundings and quickly led Su-ran and the three little ones down a small path in the marketplace to a fairly old restaurant. "Beastman Restaurant." Su-ran glanced at the sign and revealed an odd look. Really a simple and straightforward name. Don't let the ordinary name fool you. This place is anything but ordinary. Li Tutu grinned, then waved to a burly man busy inside the restaurant. Uncle Zhang, we have guests. Great. The restaurant owner laughed heartily, quickly came forward and warmly invited Su Ran and the three little ones. Please come in. Roar Tilda. A snake about 10 meters long with coin-patterned scales all over its body, slowly peered out from behind the counter, looked toward Su Ran's side, flicked its tongue, and then retracted its head. Earth System Lead Species, Money Boa. This is the restaurant's deputy manager. Li Tutu laughed, it's greeting you. Deputy manager. Su Ran couldn't help but look at the money boa which reached the leadership stage. Isn't it Boss Zhang's pet beast? Of course not. Hearing this, Boss Zhang, who was walking in front, shook his head with a smile. I'm just an ordinary guy who hasn't awakened the contract power. How could I possibly make a contract with a super creature at the leadership stage? I'm partners with Big Jin. We do business together. Boss Zhang pointed to the money boa. Big Jin is its name. Partners? Sitting down where Boss Zhang indicated, Su Ran's curiosity intensified. How does that work? Humans partnering with super creatures in business. Su Ran had never dared to imagine it before. Moreover, this guy isn't a beast master who can subdue super creatures. He's just an ordinary guy. Just as Boss Zhang was about to speak, new guests entered the restaurant. Uncle Zhang, go ahead with your work, I'll explain. Li Tutu kindly suggested that Boss Zhang attend to the other guests, then began to explain. Uncle Zhang may not be a beast master, but he's got terrific cooking skills. He not only knows how to cook human food, but is also familiar with super creature cuisine. As long as you provide him with resources, he can cook up delicious food that thoroughly satisfies super creatures. On hearing this, Su Ran's face was filled with surprise. No wonder Boss Zhang could partner with a super creature. He must be quite skilled. Boss Jin is the chieftain of a money boa group outside the city. They have ample supplies of super resources. After tasting Zhang's cooking, Boss Jin decided to start a business with him. Because this restaurant is co-owned by super creatures and humans and serves both these groups, it's named Beastman. So that's how it is. Su Ran's face wore a smile. He was quite familiar with the money boa species. What particularly impressed Su Ran about this species, besides the eye-catching money patterns on their scales, is their typically greedy nature. This race loved hoarding all kinds of resources they didn't even use. In time, a money boa's den would become a little treasury. A chieftain of the money boa race indeed had copious resources, and the idea of partnering with humans to utilize these resources showed that this money boa was indeed interesting. Let's order. Li Tutu pointed at two different colored menus on the table. The red one is for humans, blue is for super creatures. All right. Su Ran picked up the red menu and handed the blue one to the three little ones who sat expectantly. The three little heads immediately huddled together. Xian was in the middle flipping through the menu, while Star and Can watched from each side. The three little ones whispered and quickly decided on their dishes. On Li Tutu's recommendation, Su Ran also ordered a few dishes. After putting down the menu, Su Ran relaxed and smiled. Now let's taste the local food. Chapter 414, 255. Shopping, Sound Recording Conch. I have finished eating. Setting down his chopsticks, a satisfied expression surfaced on Su Ran's face. The Beastman restaurant recommended by Li Tutu served really tasty food. With Chef Zhang's skills, he would have been at least a senior chef in Su Ran's previous life. From the reactions of the three little ones, they too seemed very satisfied with this meal. Thank you for your hospitality, sir, Li Tutu said, setting down his chopsticks. The smile on his face grew even brighter. Although he was paid to be a guide and translator, meals were not included. Originally, Li Tutu planned to take care of his own lunch, but he didn't expect Su Ran to invite him to eat together without hesitation. It was nothing. Su Ran waved his hand casually, stood up and walked to the counter to pay. Seeing this, Li Tutu quickly followed. After all, Boss Jin was the one in charge of collecting the money at the counter. SSS tilde. Big Jin flicked his snake's tongue out. Although his eyes naturally carried a savage chill, it bore no malice. Instead, there was a touch of kindness. Boss Jin says the total bill is 144 Beast Master points. Li Tutu translated Big Jin's message, and then looked at Su Ran with a haunted expression. What in the world? At that moment, he almost thought he had misheard. A meal costs beast master points, and so much too. He would have to work as a guide for a whole week to earn enough to pay for this meal. Something's not right. A thoughtful look appeared on Li Tutu's face. He was very familiar with the prices at the Beastman restaurant. The dishes he and Su Ran had eaten would only have cost about 1 or 2,000 Union coins, which would only be 1 or 2 beast master points. Why were there so many? Could it be? Suddenly, Li Tutu turned to look at the 3 pet beasts behind Su Ran. Did these 3 fellows spend so much on their food? SSS tilde. Looking at Li Tutu's shocked face, Big Jin shook his head and flicked his tongue again. Li Tutu understood. So the food he and Su Ran had eaten was practically free. Those 144 beast master points were entirely the cost of the 3 pet beasts' meals. But that brings up another question. What kind of pet beasts could eat hundreds of beast master points in one meal? Considering a certain possibility, Li Tutu started looking at Su Ran with a newfound awe. Sir, are you a general stage beast master? Yes, Su Ran replied with a faint smile, not bothering to hide it. In his store, the cost for fostering a general stage pet beast for one day is 266 beast master points. The majority of this cost accounts for the pet beast's daily food. The 3 little ones consuming over 100 beast master points for a meal was, in fact, quite normal. In the past, the 3 little ones used to eat with residents in the foster area. The cost of this was accounted as part of the running expenses and was automatically deducted by the system, making it look like they didn't have any daily expenses. The cost of maintaining pet beasts is very high. After verifying with Jin that Li Tutu's translation was correct, Su Ran paid the bill and left the restaurant without hesitation. With their bellies full, it was time to take a stroll around the bustling market of the monster wooden city. Sir, this way. Snapped back from his shock, Li Tutu looked at Su Ran with newfound admiration. He quickly walked ahead, indicating the way for Su Ran. Soon, they arrived at the most bustling location in the market, accompanied by his 3 pets. This is sky-touching main road, Li Tutu explained. Sir, you must know that the wild super creatures in and around our monster wooden city are all blessed by the beast emperor sky-touching Xuanmu. As he was speaking, Li Tutu glanced in the direction of the sky-touching Xuanmu. Even from within the city, you could still see a part of the immense canopy of the giant tree. When this market was established, it was approved by the beast emperor sky-touching Xuanmu, so the association named main road of the market sky-touching main road. Li Tutu paused for a moment. The other sections of the market are like branches branching off from the main trunk. I see. Su Ran nodded in understanding, and couldn't help but follow Li Tutu's gaze towards the location of the sky-touching Xuanmu. Since the areas surrounding the city receive protection from the sky-touching Xuanmu, making them free of chaos and killing, he could consider venturing out of Monster Wooden City to get a closer look at sky-touching Xuanmu when he had the chance. After all, this was the first beast emperor he had encountered so far. When he saw the solitary figure of sky-touching Xuanmu standing amidst the forest from a distance before entering Monster Wooden City, the visual impact left a deep impression on Su Ran. While they were talking, a commotion suddenly erupted from the crowded people ahead. Soon, the crowd parted to make way for a group of red flame bears, super creatures of the fire attribute, covered in red fur and with short tails like burning fireballs, lumbering towards them. The red flame bear, a warrior species of super creatures known for its ferociousness, appeared rather gentle and even a little simple-minded at this moment. Roar tilde. The leader, the strongest and most high-ranking flame-tail bear in the pack, sniffed the smell in the air and let out a low growl. It stretched out a robust and strong paw in the air and swung it around, signaling its clan to move in a certain direction. Then these flame-tail bears let out cheers, accelerated their pace, swiftly passed by Su Ran and rushed towards a stall on the other side of the market. This is a group of flame-tail bears who have come to stroll the market together, Li Tutu timely introduced. They really like a local delicacy called the honey oil fruit. And they disdain the honey used by humans in the cooking process of the honey oil fruit, so they bring their own honey. Li Tutu pointed at the 2 flame-tail bears at the end of the pack, each of them carrying a large jar of honey, swaying as they walked. The honey exhibited a bright orange-red color. A few drops splashed out of the jar as it swayed, igniting a bright spark in the void. Flame brewed honey. Su Ran quickly recognized this fire, a tribute transcendent resource. It is the honey brewed by another transcendent being known as the red flame bee. Compared to ordinary honey, it is naturally more suited to the needs of the flame-tail bears. Watching the flame-tail bears who were surrounding a distant stall, staring at the stall owner cooking the characteristic honey oil fruit, their mouths watering, Suran could not help but burst out laughing. Wild transcendent beings also had such lovely sides. Woo! A low but extremely penetrating hum came from beside Suran, like a horn blowing, causing Suran to remove his gaze from the distant flame-tail bears and look towards a stall not far away. In front of that stall stood a human pet beast with a somewhat odd appearance. It was about 1 meter tall, short and chubby, with an extremely peculiar mouth like a long horn. Super ability system leader species, the Sound Hunter. Noticing Suran's glance coming its way, it stretched out a paw and enthusiastically waved towards Suran, seeming to signal Suran to take a look at its stall. That Sound Hunter often sets up stalls at the monster wooden marketplace. Li Tutu recognized the figure and whispered, "What it sells is also somewhat special, sir. You might have a look." "Let's go and check it out," Suran nodded. Without Li Tutu's introduction, he was curious to see what it was like for a wild transcendent being to have a stall. The two men, followed by the three little ones, quickly appeared in front of the Sound Hunter. On its stall, items resembling small conch were neatly arranged. "What is this?" Suran carefully picked one up and looked at it curiously. "Well," the Sound Hunter let out another deep horn sound. "It says this is a sound recording conch." Li Tutu translated, "It records various sounds using its super ability attribute power. Each sound recording conch records completely different sounds. You just need to put your ear to the conch's opening to hear them. As long as the sound recording conch is not damaged, the sound can be preserved for several years. It made only one sound, but you have translated it into a long speech." Suran joked with a smile, and then placed the sound recording conch to his ear. "Because I've learned about it before," Li Tutu chuckled. When he saw Suran starting to listen to the sounds in the sound recording conch, he quickly shut his mouth and stayed quiet. A somewhat ethereal howl entered Suran's ears through the opening of the sound recording conch. The sound was lightweight and distant, one after the other, carrying a few soothing and healing feelings, making Suran feel a lot relaxed. "This should be the voice of the spirit-clouded whale, right?" Suran quickly identified the species corresponding to this kind of sound. A hint of surprise appeared in the eyes of the Sound Hunter, and while nodding slightly, it let out a short, deep horn sound. "It says you are right," said Li Tutu, surprisingly looking at Suran. Was he so capable to identify the species of a pet beast simply by its call? No wonder he was a general-level beast master. That was incredible. Spirit-clouded whales are special. Suran noticed Li Tutu's gaze with a smile and casually introduced. As a super large-sized wind pet beast, although it is a fish species, it swims in the air. Its voice is considered the most beautiful, possessing the healing effect of soothing emotions. Suran paused slightly. "I'll buy this one." With the deal made, the Sound Hunter also had a satisfied look in its eyes. Glancing at the three little ones behind Suran, the Sound Hunter showed a thoughtful expression. Soon, it put out another long horn sound. "Woo! It says if you buy 3, it will give you 1 for free," Li Tutu translated. Oh, Suran looked at the Sound Hunter with surprise. He hadn't expected that the transcendent being setting up stalls at the monster wooden marketplace would also offer discounts. Given that, Suran turned his head to the three little ones, who were already eager to try. "You pick one each." "Meow, I'll check this out." Xian quickly scooped up an attractive light purple conch that it had been eyeing earlier and gently put it to its ear. Hearing the hullu-hullu sound echoing from the conch, a delighted expression quickly appeared in Xian's eyes. "This is the one. Charming, I'll check this out." Can picked up another conch that bore some resemblance to a dragon scale, and after hearing a faint dragon roar, it quickly nodded. "Very good, it liked this one." Star glanced at the other two smaller ones who had picked up conches with their claws, and then looked at its own hooves, falling into deep thought. How was it going to listen? Chapter 415, 256 Battle of 10,000 Tribes. Rustle. The bags full of various items in Suran's hands rubbed against each other, making a slight noise as he moved. Behind him, Star and Can were also carrying a lot of things on their backs. Only Xian seemed quite leisurely, lying lazily on Can's shell, curiously watching the surroundings. Time seemed to spin, and an hour had already passed as Sue ran, and his three pets strolled through the monster wooden marketplace. The city, unlike other second-level towns, had many exotic items Sue ran had never seen before. Faced with these interesting little things, Sue ran boldly waved his hand. By Guided by Lee Tutu, a local guide, the group quickly entered a shopping spree, and before they knew it, they couldn't carry any more bags. Let's call it a day. Looking back at the monster wooden marketplace, some lingering regret filled Sue Ran's face. The peaceful coexistence of the transcendent beings and humans here was both novel and intriguing to him. The area they'd explored today only covered less than a tenth of the market. If he had time later, he'd love to come back a few more times. But before that, he needed to open a shop. With a thought, a countdown timer for the store's renovation appeared before Sue ran. Remaining time for store renovation: 0 hours 48 minutes 33 seconds. Seeing the less than an hour left for the renovation, Sue ran knew it was time to head back. Once the new shop opens here, his primary task would be to increase the fame of the Starfare foster care shop in Monster Wooden City to 50%. Thinking of this, Sue ran turned his gaze to Lee Tutu standing beside him. After an afternoon's interaction, Sue ran found out that this seemingly underage boy was already a transcendent-level beast master. He was not only familiar with the monster wooden marketplace, but also had a profound knowledge of the entire monster wooden city. So, Lee Tutu, does monster wooden city have a beast trainer ranking? Sue ran asked. To enhance fame, the only method Sue ran could think of was advertising. If there is a beast trainer ranking or something similar in monster wooden city, the process would be much more manageable. Beast trainer ranking. Lee Tutu blinked in surprise, his face showing confusion. What's that? It's a ranking list where beast trainers or pet beasts of the same strength level are ranked in different categories. Sue ran briefly explained the concept of the beast trainer ranking, and then looked at Lee Tutu with hopeful eyes. Does monster wooden city have something similar? Lee Tutu thought seriously for a moment, comparing his familiar things with the beast trainer ranking in Sue Ran's description, and then decisively shook his head. No, sir, this thing you mentioned does not exist in Monster Wooden City. Okay, Sue Ran gave a slight sigh, realizing that it would be difficult to replicate the rising fame method of Zion City in Monster Wooden City. Does Monster Wooden City have any large-scale competitions? Sue Ran asked, seeking an alternative. If there were, it wouldn't hurt to use the same method to raise popularity in Monster Wooden City as he did in Kingju City. Monster Wooden City doesn't. Lee Tutu considered for a moment and once again gave Sue Ran a disappointing answer. However, his tone turned around and he added, but Monster Wooden Domain does. Huh? There was a glimmer of light in Sue Ran's eyes. After spending an afternoon in Monster Wooden Marketplace, he had gained a fairly good understanding of Monster Wooden City and its surrounding areas. Monster Wooden City was named so because it was located within the Monster Wooden Domain. And the Monster Wooden Domain is a territory that the sky-touching mysterious wood carved out for itself inside Beast Zone No. 47. Its size is dozens of times that of Monster Wooden City. Besides Monster Wooden City, the rest of the area is inhabited by various wild super creatures. Even the wild super creatures living here still had to abide by the rules set by sky-touching mysterious wood. They couldn't easily cause trouble or indiscriminately kill. Therefore, the Monster Wooden Domain was the most orderly place in Beast Zone No. 47. Undoubtedly, competitions held within the Monster Wooden Domain were bound to be much larger in scale than those in Monster Wooden City. However, can we, the humans, participate in competitions held in the Monster Wooden Domain? What are the specifics? Asked Sue Ran curiously. Competitions for human beast masters usually had a few commonly seen types. But a competition involving both humans and transcendent beings sounded much more complicated. We are one of the residents in the Monster Wooden Domain, so of course we can participate. Lee Tutu grinned. However, it's not easy to rank in the competitions held by the Monster Wooden Domain. Can you elaborate? Sue Ran casually sat on a chair by the road, prompting further. No problem, Lee Tutu nodded, slightly organized his language and started. The competition held within the Monster Wooden Domain is called Battle of 10,000 Tribes. Sounds pretty domineering. The serious look on Sue Ran's face indicated his keen interest. He pricked up his ears to listen carefully. Even the three little pets seemed interested. Any competition with a title like 10,000 Tribes had to be special. The Battle of 10,000 Tribes, as the name suggests, is a competition that all races within the monster wooden domain can participate in. Regardless of whether they are humans or any transcendent being, they are all eligible to register for participation. This competition has a long history and is presided over by the sky-touching mysterious wood itself. Chapter 416, 256 Battle of 10,000 Tribes. The Beast Emperor is personally presiding over it. Suran and the three little ones all showed surprised expressions. It is said that the origin of the Battle of 10,000 Tribes is because the Beast Emperor sky-touching mysterious wood set a rule in the monster wooden domain, prohibiting indiscriminate slaughter and troublemaking. However, every year a large number of transcendent beings are punished for breaking these rules. The reason being that some species are naturally warlike and murderous, and they struggle to control their impulses over time. Suran nodded slightly. Like the combat furball, who managed to forcefully suppress its own impulses, even showing signs of evolution from oversuppression, is rare. Most transcendent beings with a fiery and impulsive temperament are unable to thoroughly control their tempers. They often lose control, making it difficult to strictly follow the rules of sky-touching mysterious wood. Considering it would be better to channel their impulses than try to suppress them, the Beast Emperor sky-touching mysterious wood eventually decided to hold a competition across the entire monster wooden domain every year, letting these warlike tribes fight to their heart's content. With such a method of diffusion, the order in the monster wooden domain did actually get much better, hence, the Battle of 10,000 Tribes continued until now. Having said this, Li Tutu couldn't help but glance in the direction of the sky-touching mysterious wood. Though the Beast Emperor sky-touching mysterious wood has stopped producing mystical wood dew for the past few months, and seldom responds to other transcendent beings and humans, it has made it clear that this battle of 10,000 tribes will proceed as usual. Suran nodded in understanding, also looking in the direction of the sky-touching mysterious wood. Mystical wood dew, which as Su Qing previously mentioned, is the dew born from the Beast Emperor sky-touching mysterious wood and has a special washing and protection effect. It's said that the mystical wood dew is the product of the diffusion of the power of the sky-touching mysterious wood. In the past, hundreds of thousands of drops were produced every day. Even the weakest tribes in the monster wooden domain were able to gather a considerable amount. However, no mystical wood dew has been produced for nearly 4 months now. Previously, when strolling through the monster wooden marketplace, Suran found that many of the pet beasts of the transcendent beings and human beast masters in the marketplace had significant washing and protection requirements. This was due to the shortage of mystical wood dew. How is the Battle of 10,000 Tribes fought? Suran asked with a curious look on his face. Apart from transcendent-level beastmasters, higher-level beastmasters all have more than one pet beast at the corresponding growth stage contracted, giving them an overwhelming advantage in a competition against transcendent beings. It would seem that there must be some restrictions in this regard, right? About that. Li Tutu scratched his head and looked at Suran. The Battle of 10,000 Tribes is held in different tiers according to strength. General Stage Extraordinary Beings and General Level Beastmasters belong to the same division, but General Level Beastmasters can only utilize the power of one pet beast at any given time. Li Tutu paused for a moment. You can switch midway, but you cannot summon 2 or more at the same time. I see, Suran nodded. In this way, the situation of beast masters outnumbering the transcendent beings is avoided. But strictly speaking, even so, beast masters still hold some advantage in such a competition. After all, having more pet beasts means more variability. Of course, beast masters also have weaknesses, such as their own strength being weaker, which could become the Achilles heel during a battle with a pet beast. As for the style of the competition, Li Tutu paused for a moment. It takes place on a platform constructed by the Beast Emperor sky-touching mysterious wood itself, in a King of the Hill-type battle. At that time, the Beast Emperor sky-touching mysterious wood will form a special battlefield with 100 leaves using its branches. Each leaf represents a platform. If you can ascend and hold your position until the end of the Battle of 10,000 Tribes, you can win the corresponding ranking. King of the Hill, Suran was interested. This was something new that he had never tried before. In just a moment, His mind was already filled with countless ways he could utilize this for advertising. Yes, Li Tutu nodded, seeming to remember something, and then added, and depending on your rank in the King of the Hill battle, you will receive different rewards. I heard that the reward for the first place in the battle of 10,000 tribes this year at the general level is something called something vein crystal. Extreme source vein crystal. Suran was startled and blurted out subconsciously. Yeah, that's it, Li Tutu quickly nodded. Meow what? Xian, who was initially lying lazily by the side, instantly raised its fur in surprise at this moment. It opened its differently colored eyes wide and stared intensely at Li Tutu. Aren't these my evolution resources? What's up? Sensing the strange atmosphere, Li Tutu tentatively asked for some clarification. Nothing. Suran shook his head slightly. The battle of 10,000 tribes, where do I sign up for it? He never expected that one of the main materials for Xian's evolution would appear in front of them this way. Previously, in the point redemption list of the Beast Master Association in Xian City, Suran wasn't able to find it. However, thinking about the fact that the one who made the offer was a Beast Emperor, Suran felt somewhat relieved. It wouldn't be strange for a Beast Emperor, who has been operating in the beast field for many years, to have all kinds of resources in their hands. Speaking of which, if he had a chance to directly communicate with the sky-touching mysterious wood after participating in the battle of 10,000 tribes, could he ask for hints about the whereabouts of the other missing main material for Xian's evolution? Upon this thought, Suran felt even more strongly that he absolutely couldn't miss out on this battle of 10,000 tribes. If he performed well, he could not only make his name known by completing the task 4 of the main task, but also gain one of the main materials for Xian's evolution, and even have the chance to inquire about the whereabouts of the other main material for Xian's evolution. 3 victories in one shot. Well, you can sign up at the Beast Master Association. Li Tutu glanced at Suran and added hopefully, Mr. Su, are you planning to participate? If so, I'll definitely be there to cheer for you on the scene. I'm planning to give it a try. Suran smiled, changing the subject. It's getting late, I plan to leave. Today, thank you for being my guide and translator. It's my duty, Li Tutu responded brightly. Goodbye, Mr. Su. Suran waved to Li Tutu, perched on the broad back of Star, holding Xian and Kankan, turned into a dark shadowy figure and quickly disappeared from sight. Truly a general-level beast master. Watching Suran's departing figure, a sense of envy and admiration flickered in Li Tutu's eyes. When can I be as powerful? After standing still for a moment, Li Tutu abruptly shook his head, slapped his cheeks with both hands, then turned towards a certain booth in the monster wooden marketplace. This booth had the most comprehensive collection of resources in the whole monster wooden marketplace, and its prices were very fair. Because behind this booth was the Beast Master Association of the Monster Wooden City. Using the 20 Beast Master points that he had just earned, Li Tutu picked a few transcendent-level resources at the booth, handed his Beast Master badge to the booth owner and said, I'll take these resources. Thank you for your business, Tilda. The booth owner took Li Tutu's Beast Master badge with a warm smile, swiped it on the relevant device, deducted the consumed points, and returned it to Li Tutu. Just as Li Tutu was about to reach for his badge, he hesitated. What do you think of the young man you just met? The booth owner lowered his voice subtly as he asked. Mr. Su is a very friendly person, Li Tutu replied calmly, not betraying any emotion. Friendly, eh? The booth owner slowly released his grip on the Beast Master badge, a thoughtful expression appearing on his face. That's good. 100 Beast Master points have been transferred to your account. Thank you. Upon hearing this, Li Tutu's face immediately lit up with joy. Then I'll pick a few more resources. Recycling points, huh? Go ahead, choose whatever you want. The booth owner flashed a sly smile, waved to Li Tutu, allowing him to choose freely, then gazed in the direction where Suran disappeared. To let such a talented beast master just slip away, Xian City really is. Chapter 417, 257 Opening, the first customer. Shop renovation countdown, 0 hours 0 minutes 13 seconds. Standing in front of the closed door of the Starfare Foster shop, watching the countdown of less than a minute appearing in front of him, a smile spread across Suran's face. Perfect timing. Looking at the shop in front of him, which seemed unchanged from the outside, Suran felt a surge of anticipation. So, what would the system transform this new shop into? Let's go, let's take a look together. He softly spoke to the eagerly awaiting three little ones behind him, then pressed his hands on the door and watched the countdown in front of him. 3, 2, 1. The moment the countdown ended, Suran pushed open the shop door forcefully. The sight within the monster wooden city Starfare Foster shop unveiled before his eyes. Perhaps due to adapting to the local conditions, or maybe the different choice of location allowed the system more free play. The third Starfare Foster shop, located in Monster Wooden City, exhibited a completely different decorating style from before. Almost entirely constructed from solid wood, the unadorned and unpolished flooring and decor gave a sense of raw natural beauty. Just stepping inside, Suran could smell the pleasant fragrance of wood wafting in the shop. Stretching out his hand and touching the clearly etched wood grain on the surface of the counter, it felt substantial, yet comforting. A surprising delight crossed Suran's face. Unexpectedly, the system had deviated from its usual pattern this time. Meow tilde, this spot is not bad. Xian, being familiar, jumped onto the counter from Cancan's back, lying down at the place where it used to be, tucking its paws into its chest. As soon as it lay down, it felt a distinct difference in texture. The slightly coarse wood grain pressed against its soft belly, maintaining warmth excellently, providing it with a comfortable feeling it had never experienced before. Let's go, let's check out other places, Suran said with a smile, then led the way to the guest lounge on the side. Perhaps to match the natural decorating style, the guest lounge had dramatically changed. Rows of wooden tables and chairs had replaced the original large sofas, with board games of this world replacing video games on the tables. Even the junk food that used to be on the snack rack had been replaced with various dried fruits. Try this. Nonchalantly opening a bag of pistachios, Suran exited the lounge with the three little ones while eating and showing off. Speaking of which, the lounge in the shop was indeed a bit too youthful before. Those who were stronger beast masters tended to be middle-aged. They were not interested in those games. Such a lounge suited them better. Maybe this could attract more powerful beast masters. With this thought, the smile on Suran's face grew more profound. These pistachios are quite fragrant. Together, Suran and the three pets savored the pistachios while entering the grooming room. Despite the shop's area being many times larger than before, the grooming room had been expanded using the space expansion technology. Compared to the variety in external decor styles, the working areas like the grooming room did not seem to have many changes. After a brief look, confirming that the grooming room was still the style he was familiar with, even the positioning of the tool cabinet and care platform remained the same as before, Suran left the grooming room with relief, promptly leading the three little entities to the elevator on the first floor, heading straight to the second floor. With a short sense of weightlessness and a ding sound, they had reached the second floor of the Foster shop. The second floor, expanded using the space expansion technology, appeared far more vast than it looked from outside, so vast that the boundary was almost invisible. Seeing the wilderness all around and the world appearing as if it had been reset, Suran instantly realized what this place was. The Foster area. The Foster area, which had originally been placed on the basement floor, was finally seeing some daylight due to the abundance of floors. Compared to the Foster areas of Kingju City and Xian City, the Foster area of Monster Wooden City lacked some vitality at the moment as it appeared rather desolate. But this situation would improve as the shop gained fame and more tenants moved in. Let's go, let's check out the next 10 floors. Suran smiled, anticipation gleaming in his eyes. Although he hadn't been there yet, he already knew what the 3rd to the 12th floor resembled. Because when he was choosing floors in the elevator just now, he had seen the attribute icons for 10 training areas. Ding! The elevator stopped on the 3rd floor, and seeing the water world outside the elevator, Suran's face expressed an as-expected expression. Although the external structure of the shop had changed considerably, the Starfare Foster shop was still the same old Starfare Foster shop. Floor by floor, Suran finally went from the 12th floor first attribute training area to get into the elevator and pressed the button for the 13th floor, the last one. What do you guess the next floor will be? With the feeling of weightlessness coursing through him again, Suran turned his head to look at the three little ones. Charming, it's where we sleep. Cancan's eyes sparkled as it answered first. I think so too. Suran smiled, an odd glint in his eyes. On another note, the number 13 is not very auspicious. Meow, why isn't it auspicious? Xian turned its head, curiously asking. Thinking of 13, it would remind it of Su Ran and the three of them. The number seemed wonderful, suitable for the floor of a living area. How could it be inauspicious? Before Su Ran could answer, the elevator door slowly opened after a clear electronic sound. Within the similarly natural and original decor, the living area for Su Ran and the three little ones came into view. Bedroom, bathroom, living room, dining room. Although the decorating style was drastically different from the previous Starfare foster shop, the layout of the new home for Su Ran and the three pets remained the same as before. It looks pretty good. After checking all the rooms on the 13th floor, Su Ran nodded in satisfaction. Meow, you haven't said why the number 13 is inauspicious yet. Xian was very concerned about what Su Ran had just said and couldn't help but ask again. It's nothing. Su Ran smiled and rubbed Xian's head. I just heard about it before. This shop is our new start in Monster Wooden City, so from now on, 13 is our lucky number. Meow Tilda, that seems more like it. Xian nodded in satisfaction. Xilu Tilda, now we're only 6 hours away from midnight. Can we use the training area? Star, who had been silent all along, whinnied, with a look of expectation flashing in his eyes. At these words, Su Ran and the other two little ones fell silent. They couldn't help but look at Star with odd eyes. Please, they had just arrived in Monster Wooden City today. Didn't have to rush so much. Once the shop is decorated, the training area can be used. Su Ran nodded. I've already given you the corresponding access. Xilu Tilda, see you at midnight then. Star snorted and turned to enter the elevator, heading for the floor with the dark attribute training area. Meow, I've come to Monster Wooden City at great pains. I'm going to play for a day. Xian hummed and looked towards the elevator. Charming Tilda, I'm not going either. I want to have a good night's sleep. Can nodded in agreement and also looked at the elevator. After a longer silence, the two little ones looked at each other. Charming, why aren't you going to play? Meow, why aren't you going to sleep? After asking each other at the same time, the two little ones paused and then rushed towards the elevator in unison. What game, what sleep? Starfare dare not become stronger secretly behind them. Watching the three little ones disappearing into the elevator, Su Ran shook his head and laughed, a few more gratifications in his eyes. Seeing that all three pet beasts were trying so hard, he also felt better. Since this is the case, he, as a beast master, should not slacken off. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Su Ran quickly entered a deep meditation under the superimposed effects of the two meditation acceleration cards. The breakthrough of contract power to the 4th stage is just a start. In Xian City, the general stage is just enough to leave the city, giving a glimpse into how strong the competition is. So even though he has just broken through, he mustn't be arrogant. Continue the charge towards the 5th stage contract power. The next day, early morning. After waking up early and washing up with the three little ones, Su Ran and the three little ones enjoyed a delicious breakfast in the 2nd floor foster area, and then came down to the 1st floor shop together. One has to say, compared to the previous arrangement of feeding the residents from the 2nd floor to the basement first, then from the basement to the ground floor, the new shop's layout is much more logical. With the timing right to open the shop door, Su Ran turned to the three little ones. Aren't you going to train today? Upon hearing this, the three little ones shook their heads together. Last night they trained till midnight and are still tired at this moment. Today's training will have to start in the afternoon at earliest. In that case, you three can accompany me to open the shop. Su Ran smiled. Let's set a small goal for the first day of opening. After a slight pause, Su Ran slowly began under the curious gaze of the three little ones. Serve one customer. The expressions of the three little ones suddenly turned odd. What kind of goal is this? But as it turned out, the goal Su Ran set was indeed reasonable. Because after several hours of opening, with noon approaching, no customer had yet entered the Starfare Foster shop. Even the previous Kingju and Xian Foster shops did not experience such a downturn when they first opened. It seems that Ms. Su Qing was right. Su Ran rubbed his chin. It's indeed hard to run a foster shop in Monster Wooden City. Even though the sky-touching mysterious wood has not produced mystical wood dew for a long time, the beast masters in the city are not used to seeking the help of foster shop to care for their pet beasts. Therefore, running a foster shop in Monster Wooden City is not easy. No worries, let's wait a bit longer. Su Ran leaned back on his chair, his attitude decidedly calm. He believed that once they got their first customer, the situation would improve drastically. Just as one person and 3 pets were eagerly waiting, a voice came from the outside of the shop door. A new foster shop has opened here." As the sound came, a young man walked in curiously. Su Ran stood up immediately, flashing a polite smile. "Welcome to our shop, Tilda. Chapter 418, 258 is your shop this cheap?" Entering the store was a young man with a naive and somewhat boyish demeanor. He looked around at the store's decor with curiosity, his face lighting up with amazement. "Your store's decoration is beautiful." "Thank you for your compliment," Su Ran smiled. "May I know what services you need?" "Do you have washing and protection services?" The young man hesitated a bit before cautiously asking. "Since there haven't been any mystical wood due for so long, I heard that some foster shop in the town have started offering bathing services." "Yes, we do," Su Ran nodded. "The price list is behind you." "Really?" Clearly, stumbling upon the service he needed in the first foster shop he walked into has the boy practically ecstatic. When he turned his head to where Su Ran was pointing and saw the price menu on the wall, his face showed even more excitement. "Is it so cheap?" Mystical wood do cease to exist months ago, and only a few foster shops in Monster Wooden City can offer bathing services for pet beasts. Given the supply-demand imbalance, the price of bathing services has naturally soared. But seeing the price of the washing services at this shop, the boy was surprised to find that it was a full 40 to 50% cheaper than elsewhere. Hearing the young man's exclamation, Su Ran, who had just been prepared to say, "You get what you pay for," held his tongue for a moment, swallowing his words back down. It was the first time that someone found the prices at the Starfair foster care shop cheap. He momentarily felt as though he had priced things wrongly on the menu. But clearly that was an illusion. There was no issue with the prices on the menu. The real issue was the undeveloped bathing industry within Monster Wooden City. After only a moment's hesitation, Su Ran displayed an obvious expression. "Yes, as you can see, our washing service prices are indeed cheap and affordable." "Is it so cheap because the effect is not good?" The young man, quite reasonably, looked a touch worried. After all, he had just walked into what seemed to be a brand new store, with no reputation to speak of just yet, and he had no idea about the quality of their services. "Rest assured, I will do my best to treat each pet beast that comes to our shop with care." Su Ran's expression conveyed unwavering reliability. "Well, in that case, I'll bring it in for a bath." The boy's face lit up with anticipation, swiftly turning around and hurrying out of the shop, leaving Su Ran clueless behind him. Was he talking about his pet beast? If it was his pet beast, why didn't he just summon it directly? "Xilu Tilda, I have a feeling that what the other party is going to bring for a bath may not necessarily be his pet beast." Star, who had been watching the whole process, suddenly voiced out her thoughts after a flash of consideration in her eyes. "Not his pet beast," Su Ran stroked his chin. "Then let's wait and see what he's going to bring." The young man seemed to live nearby. He didn't keep Su Ran and the 3 little ones waiting long before he returned, standing once again at the entrance of the Starfair foster care shop. And behind him was an adorably simple-minded creature. It was a transcendent being covered in gray-black fur that looked a bit like a raccoon, but was about 2 meters tall. Race name Earth Raccoon. Attribute Earth. Growth step Elite Stage. Body type Medium. Needs for washing and protection. Evaluation. An Earth Raccoon that hasn't experienced the joy of a bath for several months. It needs to be thoroughly pleased by the host's skillful hands, making up for the long-lost experience. Su Ran's mouth twitched slightly. No matter which city, the system's appraisals are always so unserious. "Duxing, this is the place." The boy slapped Duxing's slightly protruding and resilient belly, chuckling. "I promised you before that I would get you a bath, and now I'm fulfilling that promise." "Uaf Tilda." The Earth Raccoon surveyed the interior of the store, nodded in satisfaction, belaying expectation on its face. From the time when mystical wood do ceased to exist until now, it had been several months since it had properly cleaned its body. Even though it's a species that isn't particularly clean, the uncomfortableness still bothered it. "This way, please," Su Ran smiled. "The beast master can choose to accompany the pet beast for the bath, or wait in the rest area on the side." "Beast master?" The young man blinked and then burst into laughter. "I'm not Dixing's beast master, we are good brothers." Good brothers. Sue Ran glanced at the young man, then at the earth raccoon standing next to him, its expression rather innocent. The latter seemed to be an untamed, transcendent creature that had not signed a contract with humans. Such a situation would be virtually implausible in other cities, but in Monster Wooden City, following what he witnessed yesterday, Sue Ran found it pretty normal. Although I'm not a beast master, I'd like to accompany it for the bath. Is that all right? After explaining, the young man looked at Sue Ran with expectant eyes. Obviously, he was quite curious about Sue Ran's bathing services. Of course. Sue Ran nodded, leading the young man and the earth raccoon into the grooming room. Soon after, exclamations of surprise echoed from within the grooming room. Wow, your store's bathing area is so high-end. Absolutely, when it comes to washing, we're professionals. Sue Ran smiled, watching the young man gauge the room curiously from left to right. He then pointed to the care platform for medium-sized pet beasts. Earth raccoon, lie down over there. Chapter 419, 258 Is your shop this cheap? Lulu. No problem. The earth raccoon nodded, knowing that the human in front of him was about to groom him. It obediently lay down on the care platform, quietly waiting for the grooming to begin. The young boy also became more well-behaved, sitting in his own companion seat without making a sound to disturb Sue Ran's preparation for grooming the earth raccoon. His eyes never left Sue Ran, watching him curiously with every movement he made. Sue Ran skillfully mixed the special bath dew for the earth raccoon. Quickly, he evenly sprinkled the bath dew on the body of the earth raccoon using the handheld showerhead in his hand. The fine and long fur of the earth raccoon was wetted instantly, fitting tightly to its body and revealing its slender body underneath its fluffy fur. The bath dew flowed over the body of the earth raccoon along the fur, penetrating to the roots of the fur, wandering in every hair follicle, bringing a warm sensation of flow. For a moment, the earth raccoon couldn't help but open its eyes wide, with a long-lost happy expression on its face. The last time it had such a thorough wash was 5 months ago, when it was washed with mystical wood dew. Now it finally felt the similar joy and comfort. For a while, a particularly cheerful cheer unconsciously came out from its mouth, echoing around the entire grooming room. Lulu Tilda. The boy watching at the side was also surprised now. It was not his first time watching the washing and protection service in a foster shop, but compared to other foster shops providing the same service, this one obviously seemed much more professional. Such great skills, but selling at such a low price. For a moment, the boy's face had a feeling of discovering a treasure. If he is happy with the grooming results later, he would definitely recommend this shop to his friends and family. Sue Ran couldn't help taking another look at the earth raccoon. No wonder it was a pet beast that hadn't been groomed in months. A simple shower already gave such a strong reaction. If that's the case, it's time to show the real skills. Putting the showerhead aside, Sue Ran evenly applied the prepared bath shampoo along the spine of the earth raccoon. The same warm shampoo felt like electricity, starting from the back of the head, all the way down the raccoon's tailbone, and then spreading to the sides of the body. The strange feeling, like being shocked all of a sudden, made the eyes of the earth raccoon even wider. Even when it was washed with mystical wood dew, it had never felt such a strange sensation. However, the earth raccoon's surprise came a bit early. Because following the pour of shampoo, Sue Ran's kneading movements also began. Lining his fingertips with the earth raccoon's wet fur, Sue Ran used just the right amount of force to rub every inch of the fur, revealing the root of the hair, allowing the cleaning power of shampoo to reach deep into the hair. The strange sensation, as if each hair follicle was being massaged, made the earth raccoon's eyes gradually bewildered. It was a great pleasure that it had never experienced before, and was somewhat irresistible now. A more melodious sound, a little ethereal, squeezed out from the slightly opened mouth of the earth raccoon. Lulu Tilda Tilda. Please take care, welcome back next time Tilda. At the entrance of Starfair Foster Care Shop, Sue Ran waved goodbye with a smile to the boy named Sheila and his earth raccoon friend. After a perfect grooming, the fur color of the earth raccoon has changed from its original dark gray to light gray, and the patterns and spots on it can vaguely be seen. Its fur became fluffier. The fur, which was somewhat stuck together and appeared dirty due to oil, is now completely soft. Behind the earth raccoon, its big tail was high up like a feather duster, gently swinging at the slightest movement. Compared to when it came, the earth raccoon was completely rejuvenated now. Definitely, Chila nodded seriously, revealing a sincere smile on his face. Boss Su, your grooming skills are really amazing and the price is so affordable. I will definitely recommend you to my friends. That would be the best. Su Ran smiled slightly, watching the two leave, then stretching lazily. Business tasks for today are successfully completed. Although the washing and grooming did not yield any pleasure value due to the fact that the earth raccoon was a wild super creature, the business objective had been achieved, making it a good start. What's more, even though there was no pleasure value, the fur plucking skill was still effective, and a 2-star earth attribute skill was gained. Skill fragment +4. The three little ones looked at each other, with relaxed expressions on their faces. It seemed that the shop's operation here in Monster Wooden City should be no problem. If Starfair Foster's shop runs well, Suran will be able to earn more resources for them. With more resources, they can become stronger faster. So doing well in business equates to becoming stronger. Zilu, I'm going to train. Revitalized, Starfair feels full of energy in an instant, fatigue swept away. She lets out a triumphant shout and quickly heads towards the elevator. Seeing this, the other two little ones who didn't want to show weakness followed closely. Meow, wait for me. Charming, wait for me. Duksheng, we will part here. See you in a few days. At the gate of Monster Wooden City, Chila waved goodbye to the Earth Raccoon. Lutilda. In the Earth Raccoon's eyes, there was a hint of reluctance, and it reached out its sturdy paw to gently pat Chila's shoulder. It's okay, didn't we agree that I would visit your ground raccoon tribe territory to play with you in a few days? Chila smiled. It will be my first time visiting the territory of a wild super creature. Do you have any good food there? Loo. The Earth Raccoon nodded vigorously, then made continuous loo, loo, loo sounds while clumsily gesturing in midair. Surprisingly, Chila was able to keep up with the Earth Raccoon's narration, continuously nodding and saying things like, I'm already looking forward to it. That sounds good, it's something I would like. After communicating for a while, the pair of good friends reluctantly parted ways. The Earth Raccoon headed deeper into the monster wooden domain, closer to the sky-touching mysterious wood, while Chila retraced his steps back. As an Earth attribute extraordinary creature, the Earth Raccoon may look simple-minded, but its strength is by no means weak. Its talent skill, burrow soil, allows it to move freely underground. In no time, the Earth Raccoon safely returned to its tribe's territory. Lutilda. Lulutilda. Sounds similar to the Earth Raccoon's voice were faintly heard from the territory. Near the territory, the silhouettes of several Earth Raccoons playfully romping in the forest could be seen. Not far away, on a blank piece of ground, many Earth Raccoons lay side by side with their bellies up to the afternoon sun. This was a common resting posture among the ground raccoon tribe. Warming their bellies made them feel comfortable. Noticing Duksheng's return, the other members of the ground raccoon tribe turned their eyes to him. After seeing his refreshed appearance, the area became silent for a few seconds. Those who had been playing around stopped and stared at Duksheng in astonishment. One of them even fell from a tree that it had only half climbed. Those who were lined up basking their bellies sat upright, fixating on Duksheng. Among these tribe members, most of them were as dirty as Duksheng before he had been washed and groomed, some even dirtier. Everyone's unable to get washed, so it didn't matter if they were all dirty. But if someone cleaned up at this moment, the next instant, the tribe members swarmed around Duksheng, continuously making loo, loo, loo noises, inquiring about the washing and grooming. Excitement was apparent in their eyes, and they were most interested to find out if the grooming was a result of the mystical wood dew. If it was, that means the beast Emperor Skyreaching Chunmu started to produce mystical wood dew again. This would be a gospel to the whole monster wooden domain. However, Duksheng's answer was destined to disappoint them. Chapter 420, 259, An Unexpected Customer Group. Beast Emperor, no it's not. Hearing his companion's endless inquiries, Duksheng quickly recovered. However, facing the eager gazes of his tribe, he could only tell them the truth. The Beast Emperor still hadn't produced any mystical wood dew. A wave of disappointment echoed around them. The Beast Emperor still hadn't produced any mystical wood dew, evaporating the glimmer of hope they had just kindled. They hadn't cleaned their bodies in such a long time that they could noticeably feel the toll it was taking on them. It wasn't just them. All the transcendent creatures in the monster wooden domain were in the same state. Everyone quiet down. A rather commanding voice came from the Earth Raccoon tribe. The strongest Earth Raccoon in the tribe stepped forward to face Dakshung. It carefully examined Dakshung, surprise evident in its eyes. This is mystical wood dew. Bathing in mystical wood dew didn't give these results. Lud, where did you get this? The Earth Raccoon leader asked. Lud. It's from where a human and monster wooden city washed me. When it came to his grooming, the glow in Dakshung's eyes had become even brighter. This made him recall the comfortable time he spent during the grooming. The feeling as if he had almost flown off had surfaced once again. Lud. So humans can provide grooming services as well. A thoughtful expression crossed the Earth Raccoon's face. The Earth Raccoon tribe wasn't originally from the monster wooden domain. They moved here as a tribe after the domain had been established. So much time had passed that the tribespeople who had experienced the migration were nearing the end of their lifespans. Only it, being the oldest among them, was a witness to that era. Although humans lived in harmony with the wild transcendent creatures in the monster wooden domain, the Earth Raccoon tribe leader instinctively kept its distance based on past experiences. However, looking at the anticipation in the tribe, the leader of the Earth Raccoon tribe sighed inwardly. Lud, what's the price for humans grooming? The price? Hearing the leader's question, Dakshung seemed to be lost in thought. He had seen the price for grooming on the wall of the Starfair foster care shop. Both he and the other members of his tribe fell within the category of medium-sized pet beasts, and each grooming session cost 26,666 yuan in human currency. Human currency wasn't used among the wild transcendent beings. They preferred to use beast master points or resources of equivalent value. Rounded up, grooming cost about 27 beast master points. In resources it is. Dakshung's eyes lit up suddenly, and he blurted out excitedly. Lud. 3 luminous earth stones can be exchanged for a grooming session. Luminous soil stones, an earth attribute resource found deep underground, were something of a transcendent level. When exchanged with beast master points, 9 points could get you 1. Due to these stones' unremarkable value and rarity, they were infrequently seen. However, for the Earth Raccoons, who possessed the burrowing ability, finding these resources was not really a challenge. As a matter of fact, the reason they chose this area as their territory was the abundance of luminous soil stones hidden deep underground. You could even describe it as a luminous soil stone mine. 3 stones for 1 grooming session was not only inexpensive for the Earth Raccoons, it was practically a steal. Without any free mystical wood dew available, the fact that they could exchange such a low cost for a grooming session was great. Seeing the eagerness of the other members of the tribe, the Earth Raccoon tribe leader waved its paw after pondering for a moment. Lud, let's go. We're all going to Monster Wooden City for grooming. I wonder if we will have any business this afternoon. In the foster shop, Su Ran sat behind the counter, resting his chin in his hand and watching the pedestrians outside. A few curious guests had come in for a look after Chila and Dakshung's departure, but none of them made any purchases. So he could only hope for some afternoon customers. However, with time passing and no new customers entering the shop, Su Ran's expression gradually became one of disappointment. Just then, a familiar voice came from outside the shop. Lud. The next moment, Dakshung appeared at the entrance. Recognizing the reappearing Dakshung, Su Ran was taken aback. He couldn't help but stand up and greet. You're back. Were you not happy with the grooming? La tilde. Dakshung shook his head vigorously. Dissatisfied, impossible. Raising one paw to signal Su Ran to wait, Dakshung then popped his head out of the shop door and let out a loud shout outside the shop. A moment later, a flurry of Earth Raccoons, similar in appearance to Dakshung, walked into Su Ran's shop, causing Su Ran to widen his eyes in astonishment. What's going on now? Purr. Seeing the baffled look on Su Ran's face, Dakshung strode over to the price menu hanging on the wall and whacked the pricing for medium-sized pet beasts with his paw. Then, he walked up to Su Ran and produced 3 diamond-shaped soil yellow stones pulsating with energy. What is this? Su Ran took the stones subconsciously, a bewildered look on his face. He had some impression of this sort of resource. These were a type of transcendent resource known as luminous soil stones. They would usually cost around 10 beast master points to exchange, equivalent to roughly 30,000 yuan for 3. Wait, what? Watching Duxing push one of his tribe members to him and point at the grooming room, then looking at the 3 luminous earth stones in his hand and the price chart on the wall, an odd look spread across Su Ran's face. You mean pay for grooming with resources? Purr. Seeing that Su Ran finally got his meaning, Duxing nodded in satisfaction. At the same time, he swiped at non-existent sweat on his forehead with his paw. So tiring. Communicating with Lo was much easier. At this moment, Duxing started missing his good friend. Su Ran stroked his chin, a thoughtful expression on his face. Using transcendent resources, which could be exchanged for beast master points to pay for grooming, he was undoubtedly profiting. After all, 1 beast master point theoretically equated to 1,000 yuan, but in reality, no one was willing to make such a trade. Even though he wouldn't gain any pleasure value for grooming these dozens of earth raccoons. Even though this group of customers was a bit strange and didn't quite fit the target customers for a foster shop. But he had just opened his shop. It was better than having nothing to do. All right, I'll groom you all next. Having made up his mind, Su Ran nodded towards the group of earth raccoons. Purr, purr, purr. The earth raccoons immediately burst into excited cheers. One that appeared to be the most elderly and also the most powerful among them stepped forward. He walked up to Su Ran, giving him a deep look. Purr tilde. Human, on behalf of my tribe, I thank you in advance. You're welcome. Although he couldn't understand the earth raccoon's language, he could infer from its attitude. Su Ran smiled in response. In a short while, a line of earth raccoons stood obediently at the door of the Starfair foster care shop, each waiting for Su Ran to groom them in turn. Come back tomorrow for the rest. As the sun sank and dusk approached, Su Ran looked at the majority of earth raccoons still waiting for grooming and shrugged helplessly. Our shop needs to suspend business now. Purr, purr, purr. The earth raccoons who hadn't been groomed, yet were taken aback and became quite anxious. After witnessing their companions looking as clean as Duxing after grooming, they had already begun fantasizing about their post-grooming appearance. Now he tells them that their grooming couldn't continue today. Several earth raccoons quickly approached Su Ran, trying to emotionally persuade him to stay open for them. Xian, who has finished her training and returned to the counter, narrowed her eyes slightly. She was on the verge of demonstrating her aura of a general stage king species when a commanding voice rang out. Purr. Keep quiet, everyone. The leader of the Earth Raccoon group stepped forward, sharply knocking on the heads of a few raccoons who were closest to Su Ran. He then nodded at Su Ran, indicating that he would maintain order here. Thank you, Su Ran smiled politely, then spoke regretfully to the still ungroomed Earth Raccoons. I'm sorry, I don't have any more time today. I promise to finish grooming everyone tomorrow. Having received Su Ran's promise, and with the stare of the group leader on them, the Earth Raccoons immediately calmed down. Under the guidance of their leader, they orderly left the Starfair foster care shop, even taking away the trash they left behind. Meow tilde, I was about to take action. After the Earth Raccoons left, Xian lazily snuggled her 2 front paws back into her bosom, half closing her eyes as she sprawled on the counter. Seeing those Earth Raccoons getting so close to Su Ran, about to clutch at his clothes, she couldn't stand it. This is the monster wooden city, where wild super creatures are no longer targets for human aggression. Su Ran laughed aloud and patted Xian's head. They won't do anything to me, and besides, even if they wanted to do something, my current strength is enough to subdue them. Although he hadn't contracted a 4th pet beast, causing the feedback he received to still come from the 3 little ones. But with the higher power feedback ratio of the 4th stage contract power, and a significant increase in the 3 little ones' strength after advancing, Su Ran's own power is not to be underestimated. He could now easily suppress leader stage strength, even if he couldn't fight general stage barehanded. Meow tilde, I was just worried tilde. Xian willingly moved her head into Su Ran's hand and rubbed against it forcefully. Her beast master is not someone who can be approached casually by others. Okay. Su Ran smiled at the clingy Xian. Where did Star and Kankan go? It's time for dinner. Meow, the 2 of them. Xian blinked, a thoughtful look in her eyes. That's right. The 2 of them had clearly finished their 6-hour training with her, so why was she the only one in the shop accompanying Su Ran? Where did they go? Chapter 421, 260, Explorer Kankan's Discovery. In the shop, While each person and their pet were pondering where Star and Can-Can had gone, deep in the earth in a part of the monster wooden domain, Can-Can, who had adjusted her body to dozens of meters in length, was carrying Star and heading back in the direction of Monster Wooden City. A yellowish-brown halo rippled around both pet beasts, causing the soil and solid rock layers to make way for them, as if melted instantly when they encountered the halo, thereby creating an underground passage for them. 3-star skill, full moon-level subterranean shape pond. A hint of anxiety flashed in Star's eyes as he stood on Can-Can's back. Xilu Tilda, by now, the shop should have finished for the day. I wonder if Su Ran and Xian will be mad when they realize we're missing. Upon hearing Star's words, Can-Can shook his head thinking about the times he was trashed by his elder sister, unable to help but shrink back. But their discovery from sneaking out this time gave Can-Can a bit more confidence in his heart. Charming, telling Su Ran about what we found, he'll definitely praise us. Hearing Can-Can's words, Star nodded slightly, easing his expression. Indeed, they didn't just sneak out of Monster Wooden City for a lark. Xilu Tilda, anyway, I came along with you to keep an eye on you. Star added, unconvinced. Charming Tilda, sure. Can-Can shook its head a bit, and the speed of the transformation flow abruptly increased. Then its expression slightly froze. From deep within the land in front, an energy fluctuation of the same Earth attribute was felt. Moreover, these fluctuations did not stem from dead transcendent resources, but from the energy fluctuations emitted by transcendent beings. And these fluctuations also had a trend of getting closer. Is this? Before it could figure it out, the two sides had already seen each other. A group of Earth raccoons with gray fur, about 2 meters tall, with joy on their faces, immediately froze after seeing Can-Can's huge body and sensing the overwhelming strength. It's a general stage transcendent being. A being too formidable to provoke for the Earth raccoon group. Even their leader was only at the leadership stage. Lu Tilda, just passing by no means intended to offend. The leader of the Earth raccoons made a quick decision, immediately offering a respectful and apologetic gesture deep in the earth. He then ordered the rest of his tribe to take a detour around Can-Can. Looking at the quickly departing Earth raccoons, a surprised look appeared on Can-Can's face. Are they afraid of me? A cunning color flashed through its eyes, and Can-Can could not help but want to catch up and play a little prank. Xilu Tilda, hurry back to the shop. Star, sensing Can-Can's plan, quickly put an end to it by raising a front paw and forcefully pressed on Can-Can's shell. Charming, all right. Can-Can nodded regretfully and obediently accelerated in the direction of Monster Wooden City. Giving Can-Can a glance, Star suddenly spoke. Xilu Tilda, those Earth raccoons, they should have been cleaned and protected in our store. Charming, huh? Can-Can blinked. A surprised expression appeared on his face. Those were wild super creatures, right? How could they have been cleaned and protected in our store? Xilu Tilda, a portion of those Earth raccoons have clearly been recently cleaned and protected, and that quality of cleaning and protection could only be done in our store, not others. Star analyzed seriously. He had unmatched confidence in Su Ran's cleaning and protection skill. Charming, we'll go back and ask then. Can-Can slightly tilted his head up, sensing the landscape above the ground through echoing of Earth vein. Charming Tilda, hold tight, we're surfacing. The two of them are on their way back. Through contractual sensing and feeling the exact position of the two little ones, a peculiar expression appeared on Su Ran's face. When did these two sneak out? It was understandable to some extent if Can-Can snuck out. Even if it is now a general stage pet, it was not even 2 months old since it hatched. Therefore, behaving childishly, being mischievous, and sneaking out to play was pardonable. But why did Star follow him as well? Meow Tilda, these two kids. Xian stretched out his languidly on the counter, then lightly leaped on the ground, unable to help but swipe a paw in the air. It had already begun to contemplate on how to beat Star and Can-Can once they returned. They snuck out to play, and they didn't take him with them. The two didn't keep everyone in the shop waiting for too long, and soon the dust-covered figures of Can-Can and Star appeared at the entrance of the shop. Seeing Su Ran and Xian, who were staring at them, the two little ones collectively shrugged. What's the matter? What were you doing outside of the city for no reason? Su Ran crossed his arms and started to ask leisurely. Charming, I wanted to go out of the city and see. Can-Can hung its head in embarrassment. ever since it gained the abilities to play around in the subterranean shape pond and detect the echoing of Earth vein, allowing it to freely explore various resources outside the city. Can had become enamored with this feeling. Back when it was in Xian City, Can had always wanted to see what kind of treasures it could find in Beast Zone No. 47, which was known for its abundant resources. Unfortunately, Beast Zone No. 47 was too dangerous. Even going as a leader was asking for trouble, let alone with the constraint of the beast trainer ranking. It never got the chance to go. Now staying in the monster wooden city, located within the same Beast Zone No. 47, which prohibits provocation and killing in its monster wooden domain surrounding it, it's much safer than other places. Moreover, since Can had recently broken through to the general stage and gained more self-preservation skills, it could no longer suppress the urge to explore. On the second day of arriving in Monster Wooden City, Can sneaked out of the city, wanting to take a look at the scenery of Beast Zone No. 47. Can managed to slip by the easygoing Xian, but its actions weren't left unnoticed by the more careful Star. Soon, the escape of one pet beast turned into an escapade of two. "You rascal!" Suran shook his head helplessly, gently tapping Can on the head. "Even though Monster Wooden Domain is safer than other beast zones, we just got here. We're not familiar with the place, and there are many things that we haven't explored yet, so you really shouldn't be reckless." Suran then turned to look at Star. "And you, since you knew to follow Can, why didn't you tell me through contractual sensing?" "Tilda, I'm sorry." Star admitted its mistake diligently, lowering its head with an embarrassed expression on its face. "It's good you understand your mistake." Suran's expression softened. "So no more sneaking out for a while. We'll explore the surroundings once we've acclimated." "Charming, no." "Zailu, no." Before Suran could finish, Can and Star simultaneously raised their heads, voicing their strong disagreement. "You two," Suran couldn't help but laugh in exasperation. "Still up to no good, huh?" Tilda, "No, we really found something today." Star shook its head, explaining. "Oh," Suran raised an eyebrow. Can actually found something just by wandering around." "What did you find?" The two pets looked at each other, before Can took the lead to speak. "Charming Tilda, I heard thunder deep within the earth." "Meow, what?" Xian's ears pricked up, surprise filling its eyes. Why did it feel like it was somehow relevant to this? "Thunder beneath the earth," surprise crept onto Suran's face. "Did you go to explore it?" "Charming, no." Can lowered its head again. Speaking of this, it felt quite regretful. The sound of thunder beneath the deep earth was at the limit of detection through the echoing of Earth vein. By the time it reached that distance, even the echoing of Earth vein could only vaguely sense some noises. According to Can's estimation, the resource emitting the thunder noise was at least at king level. Furthermore, there were energy fluctuations from a powerful transcendent being nearby. Considering many factors, including that the time of Suran's store closing was nearing, to avoid startling the snake by hitting the grass, Can and Star decided to give up on the exploration for the time being. "I see." After listening to Can's account, Suran nodded in understanding. "So, do you remember the location?" "Charming, yes." Can nodded vigorously. It had completely memorized the location, and even left some markers only it and Star would understand, making it more convenient to find next time. Suran nodded, mulling over it for a moment before speaking firmly. "Given this, you two really shouldn't act recklessly. We still don't know much about that resource or the transcendent being nearby. The two of you exploring this on your own is too dangerous." Looking at the dejected faces of the two pets, Suran changed his tone. "That's why we should all go together." "Meow, yes, I must go." Xian nodded emphatically, enthusiasm gleaming in its eyes. Not being included in Can and Star's outing had already upset Xian. Not to mention, hearing about the resource Can had found, it was very likely a thunder attribute resource. This had more to do with it. How could it miss the trip to find resources? Caught by the sudden change of attitude, Star and Can paused before bursting with joy. "Zailu, then let's set off now." Star excitedly lifted its hoof. Thinking of the combined tactics of Suran's fated Star pulling and Xian transforming into a sword, anticipation welled up in its heart. "Charming, together." Can nodded vigorously. At this moment, it thought of some potentially dangerous places it sensed during the afternoon exploration. Maybe they could explore all of them along the way. With the addition of Xian and Su Ran, it suddenly felt more confident. Don't rush. Seeing the three little ones eager to set off right away, Su Ran shook his head helplessly. Let's talk about it tomorrow. Today, we have something more important to do. Su Ran's words paused briefly at the sight of three curious beasts. We haven't signed up for the battle of 10,000 tribes yet. Chapter 422, 261, Dispute Cases Within the Association. All right, here we are. Lightly patting Star's back to signal it to stop, Su Ran dismounted and looked up at the magnificent edifice not far ahead. Monster Wooden City Beast Trainer Association. This was Su Ran's second visit. The first time was when he just arrived at Monster Wooden City yesterday. Sun Tianqiao left them here, handed them over to the corresponding staff, arranged everything, and then left to handle his own affairs. Crunch, crunch, tilde. Behind Su Ran, Can and Xian closely followed and descended from Star's back. Xian landed gracefully, following Su Ran leisurely. Its cloud-like elegant tail was raised high and swayed slightly. Can, who was following Xian, occasionally reached into the small bag on his back and pulled out 2 or 3 luminous earth stones and put them into his mouth. Yes, those are what the earth raccoon used to pay for the washing and protection fee. Such transcendent stage resources were merely a drop in the ocean for Can, who was at the general stage, and could only be used as snacks. But to tell the truth, they tasted quite good. As soon as the trio and 3 pets entered the Beast Trainer Association, their prominent general stage aura quickly attracted the attention of the staff. Welcome, sir, how may I help you? I heard there's a battle of 10,000 tribes in half a month. Su Ran looked at the staff member. Could you tell me where I register for the battle of 10,000 tribes? Sir, your timing isn't very good. The staff member slightly regretfully spread his hands. The registration for the battle of 10,000 tribes just ended at midday today. Huh, Su Ran's face instantly darkened. Really? If he had known earlier, he would have come last night. Xian, who was at his side, was even more like being struck by thunder, and its tail dropped down. Damn it! The battle of 10,000 tribes was related to its evolution resources. Could you make an exception? I didn't miss it by much, right? Su Ran asked in a negotiating tone. Can you bend the rules a bit? The 3 little ones glanced at each other, then simultaneously squeezed out adorable expressions, looking at the staff member. Sir, the staff member helplessly put his hand on his forehead. It's not that I don't want to accommodate you, it's just that She doesn't have the authority to make exceptions. A voice came from behind the staff member. Sun Tianqiao strode over, and when he saw Su Ran, a smile appeared on his face. Boss Su has interest in the battle of 10,000 tribes. Seeing Sun Tianqiao, Su Ran's eyes brightened and he quickly nodded. Monster Wooden City and Xian City, although both are second-level towns, they are not the same. In Monster Wooden City, there were only 2 Overlord-level Beastmasters, and there was not even a single Emperor-level Beastmaster. So although Sun Tianqiao's strength was only at the King-level Beastmaster, his status in the Monster Wooden City Beast Trainer Association was not low. The staff member was right. As an ordinary member of the association, she indeed couldn't decide such things. But Sun Tianqiao could. Senior Sun, can you put in a good word for me and add me to the registration list? Su Ran asked sincerely. I could, but we have a condition. Sun Tianqiao smiled teasingly. You can't participate with the name Starfare Foster Care Shop. Having stayed in Xian City for a few days, he certainly wasn't completely unaware of Su Ran. Su Ran. Damn it, he saw it coming. Luckily, he had a second advertising plan. So after only a moment's thought, Su Ran firmly nodded. No problem. Then follow me. Sun Tianqiao nodded and turned to the staff member at the side. Xiao Qi, go busy yourself. Okay, Vice President Sun. The staff member nodded and turned to leave. Su Ran and the 3 little ones quickly followed behind Sun Tianqiao, proceeding in a certain direction. You came just at the right time. I'm in charge of submitting the registration materials to the Beast Emperor. Sun Tianqiao pointed to the file bag under his arm. Any later, I would have set off, and there really would be no way to register again. That was a close call. Su Ran breathed a sigh of relief and showed a grateful look. Thank you, Senior Sun. It's nothing. Sun Tianqiao nonchalantly waved his hand. While talking, the 2 of them entered an office. Xiao Zhou, add 1 more registration. Okay, The staff member was momentarily startled, then showed a sudden understanding after seeing Su Ran follow in behind Sun Tianqiao. "Hello, please give me your Beast Master badge." Here, Su Ran handed over the badge he had prepared earlier. "All right." A moment later, the staff member returned the badge, along with a small booklet. "This is a general introduction to the Battle of 10,000 Tribes. You can take a look." "Thank you." Su Ran had been worrying about not having access to detailed information on the Battle of 10,000 Tribes. He accepted the booklet as if it was a precious treasure. "All right, I should be leaving." Sun Tianqiao put Su Ran's registration information into the same file bag, waved to Su Ran. "Boss Su, good luck with the Battle of 10,000 Tribes. I'm counting on you." "Absolutely." Watching Sun Tianqiao's retreating figure, Su Ran smiled, thanked the staff member again, and turned to leave the registration office. Just as he stepped out of the office, Su Ran couldn't wait to open the booklet in his hand. Zian quickly hopped up, landing on Su Ran's shoulder, and its head drooped down, next to Su Ran's cheek. Star lowered its lofty head, reaching Su Ran's other side. Seeing the twosome swiftly occupying prime positions, Cancan's face showed a bit of helplessness. It quickly stretched its originally meter-long petite figure to 3 meters, and its head hung over Su Ran's head. Chapter 423, 261, Dispute Cases Within the Association. Perfect. Ignoring the antics of the 3 little ones, Su Ran's attention was fully focused on the small booklet in his hands. Li Tutu's previous explanation was too cursory, and many details were left untouched. But considering his opponent's low strength, it was hardly surprising. At this point, Su Ran finally learned the full details of the Battle of 10,000 Tribes. The Battle of 10,000 Tribes, formerly known as the Battle of the 1,000 Tribes Vying for Supremacy, is organized by the Beast Emperor Skyreaching Chuanmu, and is a contest in which all sentient beings within the monster wooden domain could participate. It is held annually. Apart from providing opportunities for the quarrelsome transcendent beings to vent their frustrations, it is also a chance for the transcendent beings within the monster wooden domain to vie for better resources. According to different strengths, the Battle of 10,000 Tribes is divided into 4 stages: Elite Stage, Leadership Stage, General Stage, and King Stage. Each stage is conducted at different times. In every battle, the Beast Emperor Skyreaching Chuanmu would morph its branches into a stairway to heaven. This stairway has 100 leaves, each capable of accommodating a corresponding strength transcendent being for battle. In the Battle of 10,000 Tribes, besides the final placing determined by the height of the leaf placements, along with the distribution of ranking rewards, every leaf has a reward item prepared by the Beast Emperor Skyreaching Chuanmu. At the moment the Battle of 10,000 Tribes officially ends, the remaining competitors on the leaves could claim the corresponding rewards. As per the height of the leaves, the value of the rewards increases from bottom to top. However, the best reward isn't necessarily the topmost leaf. After all, there are 10 different attributes to the resources. What suits one best is the best resource. So, besides fighting for ranking rewards, the suitability of the resources on the leaves should also be taken into consideration. The general stage is the 3rd stage of the Battle of 10,000 Tribes. Su Ran slowly closed the booklet. According to the introduction, each stage of the Battle of 10,000 Tribes will last for a day. So, let's familiarize ourselves with the rules first. We will also get a chance to watch the battles of the Elite Stage and the Leadership Stage in advance. The 3 little ones nodded in agreement. After reading about the rules in the booklet, they shared this idea. No matter what, the registration is done, and the burden on our hearts is finally lifted. Su Ran gently patted Xian's head. "We must get that extreme source vein crystal." At this moment, Star and Cancan also expressed their determination to give their all. "Meow tilde, excellent." Xian brushed against Su Ran's hand, her eyes filled with excitement. "Evolution progress +1. Then, Xian sneaked a glance at the other 2 little ones. In that case, she'd write off their leaving her out of their fun earlier today. Just as Su Ran and his 3 pet beasts were about to leave the Beast Master Association, an angry voice echoed from the entrance of the association. "You've ruined my pet beast with your cleaning. I demand an explanation today, regardless of what." "Huh?" Hearing these words, Su Ran and his pets halted their steps, looking towards the source of the commotion. At the center of their vision, 2 men were confronting each other. A staff member from the association stood by them, trying to mediate the situation. However, his face was filled with a mix of helplessness and unease. At the center of the scene, apart from the two men and the staff member, there was also a pet beast. It was a transcendent being resembling a ferocious lion with mighty muscles all over its body and two curved, pointed dragon horns on its head. Under its dark brown fur, a terrifying power seemed to be surging. Dark attribute general stage, king species pet beast, lion dragon beast. However, at this moment, this beast, which should have been majestic and intimidating, appeared somewhat ridiculous. This was because the mane around its neck had been completely shorn off, making it look as if it were a lion missing its crown. There were also visible trimmings on its tail. After such a rough trim, the stalwart lion-dragon beast seemed to have lost some of its awe-inspiring demeanor, taking a nosedive in the attractiveness department. No wonder the master of the lion-dragon beast, a visibly angry middle-aged man, would utter such words. Su-ran couldn't help but turn his gaze towards the man standing in conflict with the lion-dragon beast's beastmaster. His expression was rather unpleasant. It was apparent that the words of the lion-dragon beast's beastmaster had caused him great embarrassment. Besides Su-ran, many people within the association had noticed the situation over here due to the loud voice just now. They also roughly guessed what was going on, and immediately all eyes were on the Foster shop owner, curious to find out which Foster shop it was. Upon closer inspection, the expressions of the people present changed to one of astonishment. "Isn't that Boss Liu from the Universe Foster store?" A passerby not far from Su-ran couldn't help but murmur. They also launched washing and protection services, but their skills are way too poor, aren't they? "Excuse me." Su-ran lightly tapped the man's shoulder. "The Universe Foster store you just mentioned, is it famous?" "Of course." The passerby nodded vigorously. "This is one of the top 3 Foster stores in Monster Wooden City in terms of overall service level, excluding washing and protection, that is." "I see." Su-ran nodded slightly. Looking at that Foster shop owner again, there was a hint of strangeness in his eyes. Clearly, the owner of the Universe Foster store had seen more and more Foster stores in Monster Wooden City launching washing and protection services, and so decided to follow suit. From a business perspective, this approach was not to be blamed. But it seemed that the other party had overly simplified the concept of washing and protection, thus leading to this current debacle. Thinking of this, Su-ran crossed his arms and continued to watch with interest. As more and more people recognized him, the expression on Liu Yu, the owner of the Universe Foster store, became increasingly unpleasant. The unfolding of events was pretty much as Su-ran had speculated. With the successive introduction of washing and protection services by other Foster stores, the survival space of the Universe Foster store was being squeezed. After all, customers who had used the washing and protection services elsewhere might likely give the rest of their business to other Foster stores too. So this new trend posed a significant threat to the Universe Foster store, which has always stayed away from it. The Universe Foster store needed to have its own washing and protection technique. From Liu Yu's standpoint, washing and protection was simply about cleaning a dirty pet beast. He thought those in the same industry were charging ludicrous prices for such a minor service. So he had intentionally set his washing and protection prices much lower than his competitors, personally tending to the pet beasts. Thanks to the low prices and the reputation the Universe Foster store had always had, there was a continuous stream of customers coming in for washing and protection services. Initially, things were progressing smoothly. Relying on his self-learned cleaning techniques, Liu Yu successfully cleaned the customers' pet beasts. However, the good times didn't last, as he soon ran into huge trouble when he undertook the washing and protection of the lion-dragon beast brought in by the customer at hand. Large patches of tangled fur appeared on the lion-dragon beast's body, tangles so severe that Liu Yu could not comb through. Faced with this situation, in his desperation, Liu Yu chose another method. Clip. Wouldn't the problem be solved by just trimming off the tangled fur? The idea was good indeed, but Liu Yu had clearly overestimated himself. After trimming off the tangled fur, the lion-dragon beast's fur became uneven and pitted. To fix this, Liu Yu had to trim some of the untangled fur as well. But as he wasn't very skilled, he ended up creating more uneven patches after each trim, forcing him to keep trimming. In the end, the lion-dragon beast was practically shaven bald by him. As more and more people were paying attention to what was happening, Liu Yu was filled with regret for impulsively starting a new service, and was also feeling extremely anxious. It was one thing if the washing and protection service had issues, but if it ruined the reputation the Universe Foster store had built over time, that would be a major issue. So he couldn't admit fault too easily. With that in mind, Liu Yu took a deep breath and spoke solemnly. Your pet beast has severe tangles in its fur in many places that are impossible to untangle. Trimming was the only solution. There is nothing wrong with our washing and protection service. The result would be the same wherever you go for the service. Before he could say anything else, Su Ran's voice echoed leisurely. Who said that the result would be the same wherever the service is performed? Chapter 424, 262, You really are smart. Who are you? When Liu Yu turned his head and saw a young face he had never seen before, his expression became even colder, and his tone was quite rude. It's not your place to speak, is it? Ignoring the angry Liu Yu, Su Ran turned his head and looked directly at the beast master of the lion-dragon beast. If you trust me, you can bring your pet beast to my foster shop for secondary washing and protection. I can't say much, but at least it will be much better than the current situation. Humph, hearing this, Liu Yu's face turned completely black, and his gaze toward Su Ran became more hostile. He thought it was just someone coming to make trouble. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be a colleague. Although he had never seen this kid before and didn't know which foster shop he was from, the act of stealing his customer in front of him, wasn't it the same as cheating right in his face? I don't know which foster shop you are from, but the customer in my shop has a problem, so it should be us who solve it, Liu Yu said in a deep voice, then looked at the beast master of the lion-dragon beast. If you are not satisfied with the washing and protection effect, we can adjust it for free until you are satisfied. Feeling the nods of approval from the surrounding stares at his words, Liu Yu's heart relaxed a little. As the saying goes, as long as the attitude is right, even making a mistake can be forgiven. Seeing this, Su Ran shrugged subtly and looked at the beast master of the lion-dragon beast. His expression was a bit more conflicted. In that case, it's up to you. Hearing this, the beast master showed a thoughtful expression on his face. He didn't want to cause a scene at the Beast Master Association, but Liu Yu hadn't been as sincere when he was at the Universe Foster shop. His demand was simple, merely to solve the problem of pet beast washing and protection. At this moment, the problem was not just about appearance, it was more than that. The lion-dragon beast was a transcendent being with a very strong sense of self-esteem. Its beautiful fur collar was its favorite part. Now it has been trimmed short, which made it depressed. Over time, this would affect its strength. Now, Liu Yu has expressed his attitude. As an old customer of the Universe Foster shop, he was also willing to give them another chance. But before that, he wanted to know who this young man was, so that he could make a better judgment and choice. Thinking of this, the beast master of the lion-dragon beast turned his head to look at Su Ran. Can you tell me which foster shop is yours? My foster shop is called Starfair Foster, and we just started operating in Monster Wooden City a few days ago, Su Ran replied naturally. As his words fell, a mocking look appeared on Liu Yu's face, and the beast master of the lion-dragon beast also looked disappointed. Even the surrounding spectators were whispering to each other. A newly opened shop dared to confront the Universe Foster shop. Although the Universe Foster shop made a mistake in its foster services, it wasn't something that any Joe Blow could compete against, right? As for the reactions of these people, Su Ran had expected it. So, after a brief pause, he added, Our shop used to operate in Xi'an City. We were invited by the Beast Master Association to open a branch in Monster Wooden City. Boom! As soon as these words came out, everyone was slightly stunned. Unlike the three-level towns that are isolated and have a hard time getting out of the city, communication between second-level towns is somewhat difficult, but not impossible. Because of this, everyone knows about each other's towns. This is no exception for Monster Wooden City, located in the Monster Wooden domain. Everyone knew that Xi'an City was the most powerful city in Beast Zone No. 47. Therefore, Su Ran's words wrapped the Starfair Foster shop in a cloak of mystery. Coming all the way from such a powerful second-level town, and even being invited by the Beast Master Association to open a branch here. At this moment, no one cared about the fact that this shop had just opened. What replaced it was a strong curiosity. Tips from Xi'an City. The Beast Master of the Lion-Dragon Beast had a dazzling look in his eyes and looked more interested. He had heard that foster services had always existed in places outside Monster Wooden City, so they were more systematic. And Ziyun City, as the strongest second-level town nearby, any shop that can survive there would naturally not be bad. Maybe this young man really has a solution to the problems of the lion-dragon beast. On the side, Liu Yu's expression became even uglier at this moment. He came from Ziyun City. He had vaguely heard before that in order to solve the pet beast washing and protection needs of the beast masters in the city, the Beast Master Association had specially invited some shops from other second-level towns to settle in Monster Wooden City and open branches to accept the customers with overloaded washing and protection requirements. The most notable one was the recently popular Wind and Cloud Foster Shop, which came from the second-level town of Chuangsing City. Now its customer flow was not inferior to the top 10 foster shops in Monster Wooden City. But even so, there had been no foster shops from Ziyun City until now. After all, for a place like Ziyun City, Monster Wooden City was nothing more than a bigger backwater. This young man actually came from Ziyun City. If it's true, he would be a serious threat. But is this really true? He was so young, just looked like a kid. Just then, Liu Yu saw a passing staff member of the association and his eyes lit up. "Mr. Zhang He, please come over here." Chapter 425, 262, You really are smart. What's the matter? The staff member who heard the voice came over and looked at Liu Yu. He claims his store was invited to settle in by the association from Ziyun City, and you're in charge of this work. Is this true? Liu Yu pointed at Su Ran, his voice involuntarily raising so that others could also hear. Indeed. How old is this young man? Are what he says really feasible? At this thought, the others snapped out of their previous shock, and a hint of doubt appeared in their eyes. It's Mr. Su. Zhang He turned around, and seeing Su Ran, the smile on his face deepened. That is right. Mr. Su was indeed invited by the association from Ziyun City. Mr. Su, how's your pet fosterage shop looking? I will definitely come and visit when it officially opens. Su Ran also recognized this staff member who took him to see the shop 2 days ago. He smiled slightly. Thank you for the support. We just opened yesterday. Yesterday, a look of surprise flashed across Zhang He's face. Although the building given to Su Ran is large, only the exterior has been decorated. In order to allow Su Ran to build according to his own ideas, the interior is entirely in a rough state. Handed it to him the day before yesterday and opened yesterday. As expected of a beast master from Ziyun City, very efficient indeed. An admiration appeared in Zhang He's eyes. In that case, I will definitely come when I find some free time in the next few days. Next, Zhang He turned to look at Liu Yu, who he already knew. Boss Liu, Boss Su's Starfair Foster Shop is a top pet fosterage shop in Ziyun City. You are peers and should exchange more. Why does your expression look so ugly? It's nothing. Liu Yu took a deep breath, struggling to calm his gloomy expression and shocked heart. Turns out it's real. If there's nothing else, I'll excuse myself first. Zhang He looked around and then excused himself. Although he noticed the strange atmosphere here, he still had urgent matters to attend to. With Zhang He's confirmation, no one doubted Su Ran's identity here anymore. After a moment of silence, Liu Yu slowly spoke. Even if you are a fosterage shop relocated from Ziyun City, this matter doesn't give you the right to intervene. At our Universe Foster store, we will treat our customers. Boss Liu, hold on a moment. The beast master of the lion-dragon beast interrupted Liu Yu's words. You just said that your shop would enhance my lion-dragon beast for free and solve the current problem, correct? Yes, that's correct. Liu Yu quickly nodded, managing to squeeze out a slight smile. Mr. Zhou, you are a regular customer of our shop. Please trust our services. Although Liu Yu was sincere at this moment, the customer who had just been tricked obviously didn't seem to buy it. In that case, please lay out the solution for me. The customer said calmly. If I'm satisfied with your solution, I'll consider it. Otherwise, I'm considering trying out this man's fosterage shop. You're always welcome, Su Ran showed a smile. It's not like he had to snatch this customer, but their grooming was truly terrible. Upon closer inspection of the lion-dragon beast, Su Ran could affirm this. In addition to the messy trimming, the fur care of the lion-dragon beast was also terrible. It really was just washed clean. Su Ran didn't believe that they could come up with a satisfactory solution. Therefore, Su Ran was also curious about what kind of solution the boss of Universe Foster Store would come up with. For a moment, everyone else's gaze fell on Liu Yu. A bead of cold sweat emerged from Liu Yu's forehead. He made an after-sale proposal just to placate things momentarily. If worst comes to worst, he'd swallow his pride and secretly seek help from other familiar fosterage shops. Without airing the matter publicly, the reputation of Universe Foster Store wouldn't suffer too much damage. Unexpectedly, the customer now wants him to propose the solution. What the hell does he know about solutions? With the fur already trimmed like this, can he make it grow back? But Liu Yu knew all too well, any attempt to evade at this point would be fruitless. He had to immediately offer a solution that would satisfy the customer. Otherwise, the customer would surely seek help from the Starfair Foster shop. And his Universe Foster Store would suffer a major blow to its reputation all at once. At this thought, Liu Yu couldn't help but glare at Su Ran. It's this damned kid. If it weren't for him, the customer would surely have accepted my proposal, and things could have temporarily settled down. Taking a deep breath in his desperation, Liu Yu thought of his wife who was losing hair rapidly. A spark of inspiration darted across his mind. Hair plugs, Liu Yu exclaimed loudly. We could use a method similar to human hair plugs to attach artificial fur to your pet beast, restoring it to its original appearance. Upon finishing, a release of tension displayed itself as a small, relaxed smile on Liu Yu's face. Regarding the solution he had come up with on the spot, Liu Yu was highly satisfied. If the fur has been cut too short, just replace it with a fake one. Snort tilde. A laughter that could not be contained resounded in the silence. Su Ran held one hand in front of his mouth, his expression strained as he tried to suppress his laughter. He gave a violent cough and waved his hand to Liu Yu and the lion-dragon beast's beast master. Excuse me, I couldn't help it. Please continue. Using artificial fur on a pet beast. The person who came up with this idea, Liu Yu, was really clever. The body of an ordinary creature is constantly undergoing metamorphosis under the influence of transcendent power after awakening as a transcendent being. Even their fur would undergo the same transformation. The fur of a powerful transcendent being could become indestructible. Therefore, the washing and protection of transcendent beings is not as simple as a bath in the ordinary sense. The process of washing and protection involves allowing care products mixed with specific transcendent resources to be absorbed into the fur, providing deep nourishment. Liu Yu's solution might seem to solve the lion-dragon beast's problem on the surface, but in reality, it's like amputating a leg and replacing it with a prosthetic and, moreover, a bad-quality plastic one. Thinking of this, Su Ran couldn't help but glance at the beast master of the lion-dragon beast. It's not his place to say more at this point. He could only hope that the beast master of the lion-dragon beast would comprehend the discrepancy. After hearing Su Ran's laughter, the beast master of the lion-dragon beast showed a contemplative expression. At first, he thought this solution was okay. But after hearing the laughter of Mr. Su, he had a vague feeling that something was not quite right. Attaching fake fur to the lion-dragon beast, even if the appearance looks the same, the fur is ultimately not the lion-dragon beast's own. They are burdens that definitely affect the lion-dragon beast's power. And also, the customer turned his head and exchanged a look with his pet beast. In the eyes of the lion-dragon beast, he saw a firm refusal. I'm sorry, I cannot accept this method. Having made up his mind, the customer spoke calmly and then turned to Su Ran. You said you can provide a secondary washing and protection for my lion-dragon beast. Is that true? Before Su Ran could respond, Liu Yu quickly returned to his senses from his disappointment and anger. He fiercely glared at Su Ran, who had messed up his plans, and then spoke in a low voice. Secondary washing and protection. This guy is probably just trying to trick you. The fur of the lion-dragon beast has already been cut this way. I can't make the lion-dragon beast's fur grow back, so how could he? Hearing this, a peculiar glint flashed in Su Ran's eyes. This tone feels kind of familiar. In that case, why don't we have a bet? Seeing the angry Liu Yu, Su Ran chuckled. We'll bet on whether or not I can complete the washing and protection of the lion-dragon beast. A bet? Liu Yu was slightly stunned, and then spoke in a deep voice. What do you want to bet? Simple. Su Ran pointed to the lion-dragon beast. If I succeed, your Universe Foster Store must recommend your wash and care customers to my shop. You wish, Liu Yu snorted, and if you fail, I want you to work in our store for a year. Seems to me like you're the one who is dreaming. Su Ran looked at Liu Yu with a smirk, but deal.